The Age of the Mecha, Fists that Shatter Stars. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 501 Earth Explodes Star. Is this the original Saint Clan? In the distance, the injured Yuang Lord noticed a figure appearing on Mercury, and his heart was shocked beyond words. This is a powerful race that has been hidden in the universe for a long time. Not only him, but also other strong men were shocked. No, it's not the original Saint Clan of that era, it seems true. This aura is obviously stronger than the original Saint Clan. What's going on? Even the Nine Feathers Lord did not forget to look back and pay attention to Li Yi's movements in the distance while running away. At this moment, when he saw Li Yi in the holy armor, his mind was also in chaos. He actually had such a big reservation? Of course, the Nine Feathers Lord himself also had reservations and had many backups. But what kind of existence is he, and what kind of existence is Li Yi? How could a human being in a new era master the methods of the original Saint Clan that had disappeared for a long time? You know, revival or reincarnation, or new creatures, in his eyes, there is a big difference, and it is easy to identify. The next moment, he saw a scene that shocked him. Li Yi, who was thousands of light seconds away from him and theoretically could not catch up with him immediately, jumped lightly in the void of Mercury. Then, swoosh! Time and space suddenly exploded. The next moment, this trace of three-color holy armor appeared in front of Lord Jiuyu. You run fast, Jiuyu. Li Yi punched him in the face, directly knocking Lord Jiuyu, who was about to make a big jump, into a jump state. Bang! This huge existence, more than 80,000 meters high, rushed back at an astonishing speed, instantly smashing several passing asteroids that were larger than this Wongxing Mecha. Time and space were shaking violently. In the cockpit, Lord Jiuyu was suspended in the air, and his body bore a huge force of time and space vibration. He stretched out his palm and gritted his teeth to launch another trick. This trick will also cost him a lot of life. He would never launch it unless it was absolutely necessary. 10,000 stars gather, boom. In an instant, many meteors in the outer area of the solar system suddenly slid from their original orbits and fell towards Li Yi's position like a rainstorm. Not only that, with the fall of countless asteroids, an extremely terrifying gravitational field was also generated at Li Yi's location, which was directly suppressed by the terrifying gravitational field formed by the nearby meteor swarm. In the blink of an eye, these meteors gathered into a supergiant planet, which tightly suppressed Li Yi. The planet formed in this instant was so large that even Jupiter, the largest planet in the solar system, could not compare with the scale. A terrifying planet comparable to more than 500 Earths was condensed by the Nine Feathers Lord in the blink of an eye. The extremely large internal pressure formed inside was comparable to that of a star. Fusion star. In the cockpit, the Nine Feathers Lord clenched his fists, and a large amount of divine energy in his body burst out, stimulating the terrifying potential inside the 10,000 stars Mecha, and constantly strengthening the changes that caused the planet. In just a moment, this terrifying planet, which is comparable to 500 Earths, completed nuclear fusion. The temperature inside it instantly reached billions of degrees. At this temperature, no strong person can escape. Only one step away. This small star can evolve into a small black hole, which can even swallow up time and space, and light can be swallowed by him at will. This is forcing me. In the cockpit, the face of the Nine Feathers Lord was terribly pale, and his plump body was almost shriveled, like a dried radish, and the armor outside his body was not moist at all. With his dominant body, it is not easy to forcibly launch such a terrifying creation and create such a huge material change in an instant. If time is exchanged for consumption, it is not difficult to complete this step. But it is obviously not possible now. He knows that his other tricks are unlikely to threaten Li Yi, who has been armored. That is the armored god of the dominant Mecha. Those who can achieve this step are basically close to the level of the top masters of the first era. He took a breath and prepared to launch the last step. At this point, he no longer wanted to take down Li Yi. The best result would be to kill him directly. In this regard, he, who had experienced countless eras of crazy fighting, knew exactly when to spare and when to kill. And this time, it was obviously the time when he could not spare and must kill. Once the opponent had a little chance, he would definitely be the one to die. Earth-shattering star, the Wuxing Mecha stretched out its arms and made a gesture of closing its palms. Immediately afterwards, the terrifying star not far away began to sink inward. Then, it glowed with an amazing red light. The surrounding temperature became higher and higher. Time and space suddenly twisted. Supernova fusion is about to begin. At this scene, the strong men who chased from afar were speechless and shocked. Jiuyu, this guy, has endless trump cards. No wonder this guy has been in so many eras and has not perished yet. Just relying on this hand to rub the star with bare hands and evolve superplanetary fusion is enough to be the best at the time. Boom. In the next scene, the star collapsed inwards and suddenly expanded into a larger red giant. Countless rays containing terrifying energy shot out in all directions. The strong men who came over opened their conceptual shields one after another. Bang! 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 Every time a ray hit, it would cause a huge amount of shield ripples. Some of the weaker strong men were directly penetrated by the shield, and the divine mecha they were riding was directly damaged. Damn it, Jiuyu is simply not a human being. He made such a big move. Aren't you afraid that he can't bear the time and space load? A group of strong men started to curse. In the cockpit, Jiuyu Lord looked even more depressed, and his whole body seemed to be drained of all moisture, like a dry and old firewood. Isn't this a damn death? He murmured. This wave is really a big loss. I have provoked such a big enemy for nothing. If I hadn't acted decisively, I'm afraid I would be the one to die, right? Thinking of this, he smiled triumphantly again. It's up to you to stop the loss decisively and cut the meat perfectly. Dead? I've been here the whole time. Suddenly, he heard a voice that made him tremble. And this voice came from behind him. But how could he not detect any traces? Not even a trace of time and space. Moreover, how did he get into his own cockpit? Was it an illusion? He turned his head inch by inch. Then, he saw a three-color armor and a pair of cold eyes under the visor. Lord Jiuyu felt an unprecedented fear in his heart. After traversing the universe for nearly 10 billion years, this was a terrifying emotion he had never felt since he was born. This emotion was like a knife sharp enough to cut through time and space, easily dismembering all his desire to resist. I admit defeat, sir. Please give me a quick death. It is my honor to die in the hands of a top figure like you who dominates the universe. Chapter 502, Killing. Are you willing to die? Li Yu said in the cockpit of the Wuxing mech. You won't struggle and resist. This guy admitted defeat so straightforwardly that Li Yu became more suspicious. Jiuyu Lord said coldly, why are you teasing me? Since you have the means to break into my cockpit, what means can I use to deal with you? When you are in the state of pure divine armor, you are enough to match my Wuxing mech. In the cockpit, I have no protection. How can I be your opponent? Besides, since I have caused many murders in the universe, I naturally knew that this day would come. Sir, do it. I have no complaints about dying in your hands. Li Yu used the power of one eye to spy on Jiuyu Lord's brain waves. As a master-level strongman, a strongman who has comprehended the concept to high sequence, normally, brain waves can be converged at will. Ordinary strongmen can't even spy on the slightest microwave. But Li Yu is different. He is deeply studying the way of subtlety, and his realm is high, and he has a higher high-dimensional vision. With a combination of the two, there is almost nothing in this universe that he cannot see through. Plus the realm of Wanai, he can naturally see through the hidden information inside. After a while, he understood the thoughts of Lord Jiuyu. This guy really admitted defeat and didn't want to resist anymore. But in fact, it was also because he had 3 burrows. In his old nest and his secret relic, he still left the seeds of his clones. As long as the main body died, the remaining clones would be activated in sequence and reborn. This is the fundamental reason why he gave up so quickly. On the one hand, he knew that he really couldn't beat him. On the other hand, he also wanted to use this to deceive the world and make a comeback. The fundamental reason why he could leave a great reputation in so many eras is that he has a variety of means of resurrection. Interesting. Are you still thinking about making a comeback? Well, let me completely cut off your fate. Just based on the many murders you have caused to my human race, I can't let you live safely, end your life and shatter all your possibilities of resurrection. When Li Yu spoke, he had already made a move. A 30,000-layer deep sky-suppressing blade was aimed at the top of Lord Jiuyu's head and swung violently. Cut. In the void, the countless dotted lines of fate that represented the connection between Lord Jiuyu and the origin of the universe were cut off at the root. Lord Jiuyu's face changed drastically. At this moment, he felt that some of the most important things in his life had completely disappeared. Not only that, Liu reached out and grabbed, and the sky-suppressing membrane penetrated a vast space and time and instantly reached the survival points of all the clones in Lord Guotao's mind. It fell with a loud bang. In an instant, the areas where the clones in the Feather God Star Domain, the Burning Star Domain, the Silent Star Domain, the Agricultural God Star Domain, and the Boundless Star Domain, all exploded. A total of 17 clones, at the same time, were completely turned into dust. Boom. At the same time, in the cockpit, Lord Guotao found that his body was shrinking to the limit. Crack. The sound of muscles and bones rubbing and compressing sounded. What did you do? The Nine Feathers Lord was shocked. Then, he found that he had completely shrunk into a little man the size of a finger. And fell on Liu's palm. Liu in front of him was like a giant. He tried his best to take off, and the divine flames outside his body flashed and accelerated continuously. Boom. He kept flying, but he couldn't fly high. Fly faster. Unprecedented fear surrounded him. His shrinkage continued. He shouted angrily and screamed wildly. Gradually, Liu's palm lines were like incredibly majestic super mountains in front of him. Slowly, the countless epidermal cells on Liu's palm were like giants in front of him. A random kick could shake him dizzy. The fate was cut off, which meant that the various abilities that the Nine Feathers Lord relied on for survival would not be able to work in the universe. Therefore, his power continued to decline, and he was easily suppressed by Liu into an ordinary creature. The countless divine patterns in his body were also like ordinary words, inconspicuous. In the end, Lord Guotao lost all his strength and was swallowed by a passing white blood cell. With a gurgle, he completely dissipated from the world. This is not an ordinary white blood cell, but a white blood cell blessed by Liu with a trace of immortality. This is Liu's new skill, Xingyu, which can also be called the Kingdom of God on the palm. In distant places, the strong men witnessed this scene and fell into deep silence. Of course, they did not see the process of Lord Guotao being beheaded with their own eyes. Instead, they saw that the fate of Lord Guotao in the origin universe and the connection with the deep layer of time and space were all destroyed in the blink of an eye. In the last second, Lord Guotao also staged a terrifying operation of rubbing out a star with his bare hands and detonating it into a supernova in the blink of an eye. And the next second, his fate and the breath of existence completely disappeared. It took no more than a moment before and after. Who did it? Is there any doubt? But, how did this new era strong man do this? So strong, Jiu has almost no strength left to resist. I didn't expect that Jiu, who has made such progress in strength, would be completely destroyed like this. This is a powerful master who is famous for killing in the first era. Except for the masters who control disasters and the strongest ancient creatures, he is almost invincible. Right, no, there are still a few top masters who are stronger than him. It's just that these masters haven't appeared for a long time. The several supreme masters and masters who were injured by the aftermath of the earth-shattering star had no face to talk about this matter, and they all quietly dispersed. At this time, what new generation geniuses are still to be seen? Look, what the hell? Are you asking for trouble? Originally, they came to observe with the superiority of the old masters. As a result, now, there is a mess. Instead of seeing the good show, they were shocked so badly by the aftermath. What kind of thing is this? Among them, only the Master Yuang is thick-skinned enough. After he repaired the wound of the Mecha, he turned into a huge shadow and approached the Wangxing Mecha that disappeared and quietly floated in the void. His idea was very simple, that is, to take this opportunity to steal the Wangxing Mecha. This is a master-level Mecha. He himself only has an ordinary Supreme Master, and he has coveted this thing for a long time. Even if Guotao was killed, it proved the strength of this new era genius, which is terrifying. But the problem is, this new era genius can't be uninjured, right? This is his chance. After stealing it, he will hide directly with his best hiding method, and stay for a while. When the limelight is over, he should be able to continue to improve with this opportunity, right? This is when others are greedy and he is afraid, and when others are afraid, he is greedy. Opportunities are sought in danger. This huge shadow approached the Wangxing Mecha all of a sudden. Chapter 503 Life Fruit. The huge shadow of the Shadow Overlord suddenly pounced on the Wangxing Mecha. A giant shadow hand quietly reached out and grabbed the Wangxing Mecha's shoulder, and was about to take the opportunity to flash away. His shadow flashed, and the effect was faster than the jump of most overlords within a short range. This was also the reason why he dared to act. In addition to his superb hiding skills, this speed was also the best among all the overlords after the second era. But at this moment, friend, do you want to disappear completely like Xingyu, without even your clone existing? In the cockpit, the shadow overlord was startled. This voice came from the cockpit. It was not soul transmission, nor was it the channel communication of the divine Mecha. It was a living person speaking in the cockpit. But behind him, he clearly did not feel the existence of any trace of time and space. What's going on? Could it be that there are people who have a way of hiding in this time, which is more ingenious than his method of hiding in the shadow of time? He turned his head slowly. It was Li Yi wearing the three-color holy armor. Blue, white and black were arranged in vertical stripes on the holy armor. The slender waist, the thin armor close to the body, the sharp arc of the armor surface hooked diagonally to the sky, and the slit of the face armor slightly opened, revealing a pair of cold and extremely oppressive eyes. There was obviously no trace of existence, but this visual information caused a great psychological impact on the Lord of Shadow. It is precisely that if you don't see it, you don't feel it at all, and if you see it, it's like an ant looking at the sky. The Lord of Shadow was stunned for a long time, and then he realized something and subconsciously launched an attack. Countless shadows outside the body turned into black silk and rushed out suddenly. He chose to open the exit at the same time, ready to launch the shadow flash, abandon his deep shadow mecha and leave. But as the shadow turned, he seemed to be frozen and fixed in place. Motionless. The Lord of Shadow found that all the time outside his body was fixed. When was this trick launched? He was shocked. Li Yu walked slowly and stood in front of the Lord of Shadow, who was in a distorted posture and in a half-shadow and half-armored state. He smiled and said, "Friend, please introduce yourself. The more you can highlight your value, the better. If not, don't blame me for killing you and making you completely disappear from this universe." The Shadow Lord shouted, "My speed is unmatched under the first era master. My concealment has not been broken by anyone so far." Li Yu's eyebrows moved. "So tough?" Then, the Shadow Lord continued to shout, "I can serve you, your majesty, and drive you. I am willing to be your slave, without any complaints. I only ask for your mercy, Li Yi." Yes, the softest words were said in the toughest tone. However, Li Yu was unmoved. "Besides these, what else are you worth? I am familiar with many ancient mysteries, and have stolen treasures from many powerful masters and ancient creatures. If you are willing to accept me, I will definitely offer it to you with both hands, without any complaints. My soul can be freed from protection, and your excellency can leave the origin imprint at will. In this way, I can't betray your excellency. How about it?" Li Yi's heart moved. This guy is quite sensible. Although he was a little bold, he dared to reach out when he and Xingyu were fighting to this extent. In this case, he made a virtual hand stroke towards the Lord of Shadow. Swish. Immediately afterwards, 2 round golden fruits condensed on Li Yi's palm. At this moment, the Lord of Shadow felt that he had lost something very important, and his heart was empty. "If you dare to reach out, I will punish you slightly by taking away half of your life and turning it into this longevity fruit," Li Yi said calmly. "Afterwards, if you behave well under my hands, you will have a chance to take back this life. By the way, I have also cut away your fate and turned it into this other life fruit. Once this life fruit is broken, all your power will lose its support. In a few seconds, you will completely become an old man and will be destroyed by the wind. I don't need to leave an imprint on your soul. This longevity fruit and life fruit are enough." The face of the Lord of Shadows turned pale. He carefully sensed and found that his fate in the origin of the universe had indeed completely disappeared and was held in Li Yi's palm. And these millions of years of life were cut in half at once, which was very terrifying. Before he knew it, he had completed these 2 steps. "Your Excellency has such a high level of means. Why are you still entangled with Xingyu?" he asked in a hoarse voice. Li Yi shook his head, did not answer, and flashed away directly. "You can go now. If you need me in the future, come here as soon as possible." It's not like he had mastered the means to materialize the concept of fate before. It was not until he completed the transformation into holy armor, his great power was greatly enhanced, and he absorbed a large amount of time and space memory fragments in one breath, that he could achieve such an understated operation. Including the jump into the cockpit inside the divine Mecha, and the means to materialize the concept, they were all just comprehended. It is worth mentioning that most of the masters may not be able to complete this concept materialization. Li Yi estimated that this has probably reached the threshold of the masters who controlled disasters in the first era. After all, only when you can materialize various intangible concepts can you be considered to have reached a certain height in the concept and truly play with a corresponding concept at will. And people like Jiuyu Zunzu, who are given the title of Zunzu, are because he has infinitely approached this realm in the concept of gravity, and his combat power is extremely high. From the fact that he can use this to complete the terrifying conceptual super-speed gravity cannon and the ground-exploding star, it can be seen that his realm is already high enough. And people like Li Yi, who can manipulate the derivative concepts of time and space such as fate and lifespan into concrete substances, are naturally better in the eyes of Yuang Lord. In addition, there is the means of turning the master-level mecha into divine armor. The combination of the two means must be a big win for Yuang Lord in his eyes. And because Li Yi and Jiuyu fought for a long time, this also made Yuang Lord make such a misjudgment. Alice, these strong men are really not human sons. Everyone has to hide their strength. Alice, I will have no freedom for the rest of my life, he sighed. The strong men have not left yet. They are still waiting and watching to see if Yuang Lord can succeed. If successful, they don't mind going with the flow and fishing in troubled waters. If failed, they can also come forward to make friends with this new era's top genius and borrow a good relationship. At this time, they noticed a scene that shocked them. This majestic and huge 80,000-meter Wongsing mecha suddenly shrank. In just a moment, it was folded into countless layers of time and space, transformed into a tiny bead, and lightly landed on the palm of a three-colored armored man who was less than 2 meters tall. The terrifying substance weighing trillions of pounds was lightly pressed into his palm. Chapter 504 Declaration. The masters were silent. In the distance, after Li Yi successfully suppressed the Wongsing mecha, he laughed loudly to all the powers in the universe. The sound instantly spread to the ears of the masters who were focusing their attention on this. Lords and supremas of all times, the grudge between Jiuyu and I is now over. I have also cut off half of the lifespan of Lord Yuang, who reached out to me secretly, and he has become a member of my human race. If you want to make friends with me humans in the future, I, Li Yi, will welcome you at will. If you want to start a dispute, I won't be polite either. Jiuyu will be the end. You can weigh your own strength. Those who think they are stronger than Jiuyu may come to me for a competition, but if you can't even beat Jiuyu and still want to make trouble, please refer to Lord Yuang. Now, my human main star is experiencing fluctuations, and I still have things to do. If you want to make friends, you might as well come back in a month. If you come with sincerity, I will naturally welcome you. If you come uninvited within a month, don't blame me for killing you directly. That's all I have to say. Please retract your gaze. If you don't retract your gaze for more than 3 seconds, I will regard it as a provocation and attack directly. As soon as these words came out, the originally lively places in the origin of the universe instantly dissipated. The many powerful people who came to see them also immediately jumped away, as if to avoid suspicion. Those who were farther away naturally retracted their gazes in time. Li Yi nodded slowly. Not bad. This time, the killing of Jiuyu and the reduction of the lifespan and destiny of the Shadow Overlord have created a good effect of establishing prestige. However, how many powerful people will hide evil intentions? This still needs time to verify. After all, although he was born as a human. But so far, the only powerful person who can show off is him, plus the Dao who supreme hidden in Yan's soul. As for Lin Jianlong and others, they are at most at the quasi-god level, and they are not the complete version. The rest of the foreign fighting forces that can be relied on are mainly the two newly promoted supremas, He Ming and Lian Ming. The ancient king has not been completely subdued. The Shadow Overlord should still be useful at present. The tide of revival, this is just the prelude. Li Yi knew that the strong men who came to watch the battle were only a part of it. After a period of time, the situation would be so chaotic that it would not be possible to suppress the situation purely by reputation. He had to become stronger, to the level of the God of Law, or the Master of the First Era, so as not to be unstable after the revival. Not only that, considering that the revival and disasters would be unprecedentedly terrifying, the pure God of Law level was probably not enough. He had to reach the level of the God of Years to be stable enough. Thinking of this, Li Yi's eyes swept across the universe, and after confirming that there were no other eyes around, his body jumped back to the sky above the earth. The changes on the Earth continued. Those were the changes caused by Mother Gaia, which had never stopped since he jumped out to fight Jiuyu. It was not as simple as a natural disaster on the Earth. It was a transformation. The transformation of a planet. However, the changes contained in it were so complicated that Li Yi had to spend a lot of time to barely see one or two of the mysteries. This thing seems to be a change set in advance, Li Yi frowned. There are rules and rhythms, but because it is too huge, he also feels a little confused. He wanted to review it after the battle and digest the harvest thoroughly. But when he saw the transformation of the Earth, he couldn't help but be fascinated. If the mystery can be fully understood, can we completely comprehend this extremely mysterious ancient law? An ancient law that can give birth to the holy god level is very attractive when you think about it carefully. He immediately maintained the state of holy armor, digesting the memory fragments while carefully observing the changes in front of him. The state of holy armor consumes a lot. With his current total amount of divinity and physical strength, it can only be maintained for 1 or 2 hours. But he is not going to remove the holy armor immediately. Maintaining the state of holy armor, the physical body itself can enjoy the tempering of the source energy. At present, Li Yi has only 2 channels to obtain the tempering of the source energy. One is that when he broke through the heavenly position before, the fusion of the 12 divine nuclei touched the origin of the universe and extracted a large amount of source energy. The amount given in this way is very fierce, more than tens of millions times that of ordinary divine armor. In an instant, his body underwent many transformations, even surpassing the transformation that the divinity itself could bring. This is why his body can instantly feed back to the soul, causing the soul to further transform and generate immortal characteristics. Since his breakthrough this time has ended, the Yuan core has merged into the original Yuan core, although it has formed a fixed channel for extracting the original energy. But there is no longer the explosive amount when the channel was just opened. At present, his body can still continue to absorb the original energy, but the amount obtained is undoubtedly much slower. Another way to obtain the original energy is to transform into divine armor. However, the original energy that can be extracted by the divine armor is naturally far inferior to the fierce amount when he broke through the heavenly position, less than 1/1,000,000th. At present, it can only be comparable to his current original Yuan core. Fortunately, he is not now a divine armor. Instead, the 3 armors are combined into one, and the holy armor is transformed. This effect is at least hundreds of times the effect of a single divine armor. Under this blessing, although the original energy obtained is not as good as the instant of 12 Yuan core fusion, it can be slowly caught up with a long-term and long-term. If new channels are to be developed, Li Yi has a plan for the moment. On the one hand, it is natural to find a way to upgrade the Pluto and Uranus mechas again. If the upgrade is high enough, and 3 more dominant level mechas are transformed into holy armor, the effect will definitely be exceptional. On the other hand, it depends on the original language. This is likely to be more difficult. Although his mastery of the original language has surpassed most prehistoric ancient creatures and the supreme dominant, in itself, the original language is a level higher, and it is something that is infinitely higher. It is nothing for him to beat those dwarfs. Only by beating those top magic gods can he use the original language to accurately mobilize the original energy for himself to absorb. However, this step is much more difficult than mobilizing time and space. After all, the original energy is the core energy of the origin of the universe, and it is the energy derived from the high-dimensional universe. Although the laws of time and space are invincible in this universe, they must follow more complex rules when they reach the high dimension. Take your time. I have already achieved unprecedented improvement. During this period, I will focus on consolidating my foundation. Then, I will start with the 2 aspects of bodybuilding and source energy, keep improving, and let my soul gain more immortal characteristics. As for the Nano ruins, I will go there after I have dealt with the matter on Earth. Chapter 505 Daily Life. Time passed in a blink of an eye, and it was half a month later. The changes on Earth were still continuing. Li Yi hovered in the outer space of the Earth, continuously observing, and had a great understanding. He did not feel how fast time passed. It was as if one closed his eyes and the other opened them, and half a month had passed. At this time, a divine mecha slowly flew over from a distance. The whole body was light white, the fuselage was slender, and the flames were hidden in the vacuum. It was Chen Kaiyongzi's dust mecha. "Why are you here, old Chen?" Li Yi had naturally seen it a long time ago. Chen Kaiyongzi did not mind Li Yi's address, and smiled and responded across the divine mecha. I came to ask, is the agreement between you and me still valid? After all, although this star family has been destroyed, there are still many remnants roaming throughout the scorching star field, and they also need to be dealt with. Although you are now awe-inspiring in the universe, it seems that you don't need to transform yourself into a ship to strengthen yourself, but I think I should still ask you, the fact that Li Yu broke through, killed Yu, and cut the life of Yuan, of course, among humans, this very encouraging thing has long been spread. Although ordinary people do not understand what the domination level means, it does not prevent them from imagining a heroic story of a human genius who resists the powerful ancient resurrectionists, kills the enemies, and makes amazing contributions to the defense of peace. Chen Kaixi is at least a strong person in the middle stage of the heavenly rank, and her strength is close to that of the high stage. Although this strength can no longer keep up with the current rapidly improving strength version. But with her strength, she is still useful within the human range. Moreover, she has good talent, and the probability of becoming the strongest in the future is not low. With the various bodybuilding methods that are gradually becoming popular among humans, it is not impossible to break through to the demigod or even quasi-god. Moreover, with her relationship with Li Yu will certainly not let Chen Kaixi lack the opportunity to break through. In the early years, Chen Kaixi gave him a lot of special treatment. Now that he has the conditions, it is of course just a matter of raising his hand to feed her and promote her. However, the shipbuilding proposed by Chen Kaixi also triggered an inspiration for Li Yu. He touched his chin and said, "Since you, old Chen, have invited me personally, I will go no matter what I say. No matter what agreement or not, I will definitely not break it. Don't worry, old Chen." By the way, has the main ship been built? Upon hearing this, Chen Kaixi smiled. It has been built. The main body is the early super starship, the Xianheng ship, which originated from the Xianheng ruins of the Third Era. One of the reasons why we started the war with the Star Clan and the Two Clan was to fight for the super starship, the Xianheng ship. Li Yu said thoughtfully, I have some impression. I remember that this is a large main ship that is not inferior to the Kunlun ship in scale, right? Yes, because you will be the captain. So Chief Lin directly transferred this ship here and asked the engineers to build the Xianheng ship first. That sounds good, he nodded slightly. It is equivalent to the level of the Kunlun ship. And it is almost equivalent to the scale of the dominant divine Mecha. No, it should be said that it will be much stronger. After all, the Aochi ship he came from at that time had 18 annular cabins, which added up to dozens of kilometers in length and width, and 7 or 8 kilometers in height. In terms of conversion, although the structure and strength are far inferior to the divine Mecha. Looking at the scale alone, the Kunlun ship must be more terrifying than the dominant divine Mecha. Of course, scale is scale. Excluding the large number of external equipment installed by humans, the internal power source should be inferior to the dominant divine Mecha. The design of the starship was originally a mobile fortress in the starry sky, and the strength requirements of the driver are naturally far inferior to those of the dominant divine Mecha. Only a strong man above the middle stage of the heavenly position, driving a heavenly mecha as the driving core, can drive the internal power of the main ship and realize interstellar navigation and jump activities. Thinking of this, Li Yu couldn't help but arouse some interest. If the internal structural mechanism of the starship is similar to that of the divine mecha, then, in the absence of a suitable divine mecha, it seems to be a good choice to stack another starship. Of course, this is his idea under divergent thinking. Whether it can work depends on the actual operation of a machine. However, the internal power of a starship requires a mecha of the middle level or above to control it. In other words, it is equivalent to requiring a strong man close to a demigod to control it. If you think about it carefully, the power of this starship is probably not weak. To be able to carry so much material and achieve a jump, the power required is much more difficult than that of a purely divine mecha. You can give it a try. I learned my ship transformation by myself, but you can also see what will happen if you don't drive a divine mecha and directly drive a starship with your physical body. If we are lucky and understand the internal mechanism, it will not be bad for humans to build their own starships in the future. Besides, it's time to give yourself a small vacation. I have been in seclusion recently, absorbing memory fragments, and it is easy to confuse myself, although my main consciousness has been strengthening and refining with this kind of virtual technique. The strength should be good, but relax appropriately, and also build up momentum for taking off. Thinking of this, Li Yu asked, Old Chen, When is the starship expected to set sail? Chen Kaiyongzi smiled. It mainly depends on when you, the captain, are free. Anyway, we have basically recruited the right people and internal structure. With you, the captain who terrorizes the universe, I think we will be able to walk sideways in other star fields, let alone the scorching star field. Li Yu laughed. The tide of recovery is coming, and it won't be that easy then. However, controlling a starship may have other uses for me, so I should give it a try. Anyway, I can retreat anywhere. Let's put it this way, old Chen. The transformation of the Earth is estimated to be over in half a month. If you are free, you can stay. I'll also let you try the forging method I recently summarized. With your special physique, it is estimated that the effect will be quite a lot. I also want to borrow your physique to confirm some details again. How about it? When Chen Kaiyongzi heard that he wanted to stay, his eyes lit up and he smiled. Okay, all is fine. You are my captain and I am your deputy captain. Wherever you say to go, we will go. As for forging, just do it as you see fit. Just don't do it like last time. Li Yu laughed. Don't worry, old Chen, these are all small problems. By the way, the transformation of the Earth is extraordinary. You can also use the detection system to record more. Maybe you will gain something later. Chen Kaiyongzi nodded. Okay, I'll listen to you. On the other side, the lunar fortress. A graceful figure suddenly leaped over. It was Yan. Her eyes were dim, and her sight crossed time and space and fell on the other side of the Earth. Now, she was both the supreme Daohu and the quasi-god of spiritual flame. It's time to go and talk. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 506.008 Nano. Chapter 560.08 nanometers. In the blink of an eye, another 7 days passed. Accompanied by Chen Kaiyongzi, Li Yu's observation outside the Earth was quite interesting. In order to observe the changes outside the Earth more conveniently, he rubbed out a void island with his bare hands, like a small satellite, floating above the Earth. This step is very simple. Learning Jiu's gravity control technique, it is easy to aggregate a venue like a courtyard. Then, using his own nano-level fine strength to carve, he easily created such a comfortable void island. He also took the time to give life to the entire void island, and adapted the genes of life wisdom into a new gene code that can be derived from metal and mineral substances into life forms. Not to mention, this step is quite difficult. It is also thanks to his recent progress in soul that the nano-vision has further reached an astonishing 0.08 nanometers. The overall controllability of microscopic codes has been greatly improved. As a result, he can complete this feat of giving life to metal minerals. The operation of giving life is like a line. Then, at the two ends of the line, one is an invisible thing, and the other is a tangible thing. The more invisible and conceptual things are, the harder it is to give life. Also, the harder and more real things are, the harder it is to give life. Only the intermediate state between the two, which is neither so abstract and empty, nor so hard and dense, is easier to give life. For example, the little thing time. Although she is a concept life of space-time energy, because Li Yi is good at manipulating space-time energy and has a high enough level of cognition of space-time, he can adapt the corresponding special life code. On the contrary, if it is other concept sequences that he is not familiar with at present, it will be much more difficult. At present, the concept he has the deepest grasp of is naturally the concept of space-time, followed by the concept sequences of Thunder God, Ice God, and Fire God. The concept body he has mastered at present is the body of Thunder God and the body of Ice God. As for the body of space-time, because this part is too difficult, even now he has not mastered it. Back to the topic, this void island also laid a batch of special plant seeds that can survive in the vacuum of the universe. Under his catalytic means, they have grown into beautiful flowers and plants. A thin layer of air-suppressing membrane is also covered outside the entire void island, allowing these flowers and plants to form a new oxygen circulation ecology. Although Li Yi can survive outside the universe, and Chen Kaiyongzi can hold his breath for a long time. But as a human being, of course, living in an oxygen environment will make people feel more relaxed and have a holiday-like feeling. By the way, These flowers and plants were also selected and transformed by Li Yi himself. Now, it is not an exaggeration for him to call himself a master of life. It is naturally easy to transform flowers and plants into the shape he needs. The rhizomes were changed by him into an elastic state, and then matched with dry and soft grass leaves, which again, loose and soft. Of course, it is very comfortable to sit on them. In particular, the entire Void Island's front yard is covered with this beautiful green grass. He and Chen Kai-ongzi have spent many wonderful nights on this grass. The relationship is gradually getting closer. There is a feeling of gradually crossing a layer of boundaries. Of course, the two of them tacitly understood, and no one took the initiative to break this tacit understanding. Just quietly, enjoying the rare long time in space. This is a long-lost, rare enjoyment. There may not be such a good opportunity in the future. In the past half-month, Li Yi has made great progress in other aspects. The most intuitive point is that the maintenance time of the holy armor has been stable for 1.5 hours. After this 1.5 hours, it will take several hours to recover. Of course, it is not completely cooled. Even if it only rests for a few minutes, it can be restarted, but it is relatively short. The main reason for such great progress is the blessing of the origin nucleus. In the entire universe, he is probably the only one in the world who condenses the origin nucleus by himself. Other creatures may have also looked for similar methods. But in the end, they can only use divine mechas as a substitute, and they cannot bear the origin energy with their physical bodies. The root causes, first, the immortality, and second, there is no means like him to generate the origin nucleus. Those demigods and quasi-gods are basically at their limit when they breed demigod nuclei. After becoming a demigod, his progress gradually focused on the deep comprehension and control of various sequence concepts. The second improvement was naturally the strength of his soul. Now, he has almost reached a terrifying strength of more than 2,000 pieces. This is due to the transformation from the heavenly rank to the holy armor on earth. His soul has an immortal characteristic, which allows it to absorb a large amount of memory fragments without worrying about over-absorbing and exploding itself. Of course, this is only a trace of immortality, and Li Yi's approach is still quite conservative. If this immortality can be increased to the same level as the physical body with hundreds of pieces, he probably can directly sweep across the entire dream plane. At that time, it will be a real step to heaven. His skills in other aspects have also increased, and new breakthroughs are about to be brewed. In particular, the skill of the whole shape has benefited from the improvement of his space-time cognition, and he has gradually gained the confidence to break through to the void. Once the void is broken, he will have the ability to hide in the concept completely. And this step will make it impossible for most top powerhouses to find his traces. That is really not recognizing him in person. On this day, Li Sun was preparing to forge Chen Kai-ongzi to help her break through to the strongest. Suddenly, he had an idea and said, "Old Chen, you step aside first. There will be an ancient strongman who wants to communicate with me next. It may be a little dangerous at that time. You should take the divine Mecha and stay in the lunar fortress for a few days." Chen Kai-ongzi's face was slightly condensed. She looked at Li Yi and nodded, "Okay, then you should be careful. Although you have already shocked the universe, don't be careless." She held Li Yi's hand and patted it gently, then turned around and jumped up, landing on the dust mecha suspended in the distance. Li Yi felt a cool touch from his hand, and his heart was slightly warm. After a while, Yan's figure jumped and flashed. She landed lightly more than 10 meters in front of Li Yi. At this moment, she was wearing an ancient-style red long skirt, with her shoulders and knees not covered, revealing a touch of bright whiteness. Li Yi stared ahead. The color of Yan's pupils was different from when he had just rescued her. It was a light yellow-amber color, crystal clear and charming. "It seems that you knew I was coming to find you." Yan looked at Li Yi with complicated eyes, opened her red lips and spoke slowly. "Don't worry, although I knew you were coming, I still don't know your identity. You don't have to worry about what I will do." Li Yi smiled and stretched out his hand to signal Yan to sit down. "This is the void courtyard I carefully built. Sit down first and feel my achievements." Chapter 507, God of Time. Hearing this, Yan was silent for a moment, then slowly walked 3 meters in front of Li Yi, stretched out her slender hand to brush aside the hem of her gauze skirt, and sat down on the ground. Li Yi smiled and said, "How is it? Is the softness acceptable?" Yan nodded slowly. "Very good. You can tell me why you came to see me now." Yan looked at Li Yi, with a complex look in her eyes. Let me first briefly explain the relationship between the quasi-god Lin Guotao and the supreme Dao. At that time, everyone thought that the quasi-god Lin Guotao was the first quasi-god level strongman created and cultivated by the supreme Dao, but in fact, the quasi-god Lin Guotao and the supreme Dao both come from a powerful Dharma god on the future. This powerful man is you, my creator, my father god, the great god of time. Hearing this, Liu nodded as if he had expected it. Sure enough, Yan is she, and she is Yan who returned to the past. But the current she is still quite different from Yan. It seems that the time she will be sent back to ancient times in the future will be quite a long time away from now. He was not surprised that he would attain the realm of the Dharma god on the future. After all, his improvement in the understanding of time and space, as well as his soul, body, and the divine will of the prison driven by the current origin nucleus, had almost no bottlenecks. His own improvement was almost 1,000 miles a day. Although the realm of the Dharma god is supposed to belong to the realm of ancient creatures, it is a terrifying realm that requires the companion law to reach. In terms of strength, except for a few of the strongest masters of the first era who have the advantage of the era and have comprehended several core root concept sequences of the universe, they can be comparable to them. Other ordinary masters cannot threaten the god of law at all. The realm of the god of law is almost invincible and almost eternal in the universe, except for being limited by the universe itself. Disasters can only threaten the realm of the god of law when they accumulate too much in the current sixth era. Before, disasters could not affect the god of law much. But according to Li Yi's forging and improvement of the flesh, and his current understanding of Gaia's mother rules, it is indeed very likely that he will reach the realm of the god of law in the future. Moreover, the god of law can send his life upstream to the distant fifth era. So it seems that the god of law is also very powerful, and it is likely that he has greatly surpassed the god of years. After all, no matter how strong the god of years is, no matter how strong the scale of life is, but to achieve such a reverse flow of time, or such a long-distance reverse flow, it is impossible even for the god of years. Unless the god of years can master the other two time-space characteristics of time and time to a level comparable to his current state, there may be no chance. What Li Yi found even more strange was his own title. So, my title of the future god of law is the god of time. Li Yi touched his chin and felt a strange feeling. He thought that even if he became a god of law, he would become the new generation of god of Gaia by controlling this part of the mother Gaia. Although it makes sense, he has never obtained the ancient lore related to time. Could it be obtained in the future? With doubts, Li Yi said, "So, Dao, who is this void island? Why did my future self send Lin Guotao and quasi-god and Dao who supreme to more than 200 to 300 million years ago?" Yan said, "No, in fact, we exchanged our names after returning to ancient times. Dao who is time, and Lin Guotao is this void island. The reason for doing this is also because of the arrangements made by the future you. You said at the time that our names had been linked to the fate of our respective names, and the concepts were concretized. Whoever returns to the correct era first will get the name of Dao who first. Dao who is the name of the creator of mankind, which is destined and unshakable. So, you let us inherit the name of Dao who. Instead of letting us create a new name and then create a new race, Lin Guotao is destined to carry the human race from the 5th era to the 6th era, and reignite the fate of mankind, so that mankind can give birth to successful people again. This is the anchor point. You are a master of time and space, and I think you should understand the intention of the future you to do so." Li Yi did understand the logic of his future self's operation the moment he heard Yan's explanation. He estimated that there were many considerations in this. On the one hand, it was probably to avoid the paradox of time and space. If the person he sent over changed the history of mankind, it would be a huge problem whether his future self could be born normally. Even if he was born, but lost his current terrifying talent due to some opportunities, it would also cause everything to change drastically. The solution is to set several core time keynotes. For example, the first keynote is the creation of human beings by Dao who supreme in the 5th era. The second keynote is the 6th era, when Yan carried the fire of human life and spread it on the earth. Even in the process of Yan spreading the fire of human life, Li Yi added some different materials to the human soul in advance. It doesn't matter who completes these things, because Li Yi in the future has anchored the names and corresponding destinies of the two. Once they officially inherit and use these titles, their behavior will follow the direction of the fate anchor. This is another key anchor point that Li Yi in the future has laid for this matter. It is precisely because fate is constant that the birth of human beings is destined to happen. On the other hand, it is probably to avoid being changed by other powerful enemies, and even the past of the birth of mankind. Because Li Yi's own destiny was in his own hands when he cut off his life before. Except for the tree of life before, no one can see or find his destiny now. Ordinary people can't influence it at all, and can't easily go back to the past according to his destiny and kill him in the past. But humans are different. As a large number of intelligent races, destiny is easy to find and cannot be hidden. Billions of years ago, I am afraid that Li Yi in the future will not be able to trace the destiny of mankind and protect it from interference. Thinking of this, Li Yi frowned and said, "So, the future me sent you to the past to avoid being directly killed by some powerful enemies in the future, and then extinguishing my birth." Yan nodded slowly. "That's right, even, you must become the third big anchor point to prevent future humans from being traced back to their source and killed, which will cause you to completely disappear in this universe. And my task requires you to tell you about this after you complete the declaration of the universe. My coming to tell you about this is also a small anchor point in itself, so, if there is no accident, I generally will not completely awaken my memory. In this way, it can also avoid being spied on by that existence about the changes in fate." Li Yi was not surprised. If there is one anchor point, there will be two. Since the battle takes place in the long river of time and space, it is not surprising that the self on each timeline becomes a fighting force. "So, who is my enemy?" Yan shook his head and said, "It's not good to mention this name now, but you should know and have had direct or indirect contact. Now, I will tell you what to do next." Chapter 508 Arrangement. Li Yu nodded and said, "You tell me." He may not believe all of what Yan said, and he has his own considerations. However, from the brain waves he initially identified, it should be true. If all this is really done by his future self, then based on his understanding of himself, he will also convey enough useful information. Yan said slowly, "First, you need to find the person who is born with a gift of destiny. Her destiny is hidden. With your current strength, you can go and see it yourself." Hearing this, Li Yi's heart moved. Is it Li Lulu? Then his future enemy is related to the Gourd Man? Is it the Gourd Man, or the Gourd Man's enemy? Speaking of which, he really hasn't seen Li Lulu recently. The last time they met was before he mastered the various concepts of destiny. Hearing this, he can indeed take a closer look at her destiny. Maybe her destiny is an anchor point. Or, it can transcend time and convey some secret messages. Second, you need to find the secret book of time and control it. Secret book of time? Li Yu didn't expect that after going around in circles, he actually came back to this thing. Isn't this thing the companion treasure of the god of Sui? Could the enemy be the god of Sui? No, it's unlikely to be the god of Sui. After all, he has been in the god of Sui's palace for so long. With the power of the god of Sui, why would he have to travel to the ancient times to kill him? Yam continued, "Third, you can cultivate me and Lingayan normally. You don't need to intentionally modify anything because of the existence of Lingayan in me. Just let it go." Li Yu also understood what this sentence meant. Most likely, the future self has already locked the fate of Lingayan and Daohu and conceptualized it. Therefore, their birth will most likely be handled by the future self. This method, he estimated that the future self had passed on some subconscious thoughts to him, guiding him to add the corresponding code subconsciously when implementing these operations, or subconsciously complete the transformation of different forms and personalities. In this way, to ensure the birth of these two. Although, Lingayan and Daohu can be replaced with any life form, anyway, they are all lives given by him. But considering Daohui's previous statement that her essence was she, Li Yu understood that she, a special life, would be more likely to complete the reverse flow and have a higher qualification to be promoted to the supreme and complete the creation of humans. However, the future self left so many arrangements, which shows how strong the future enemy is. So, when did I become a god of law? Thinking of this, Li Yu asked, "So, when did the future me become a god of law?" Yan thought for a moment and said, "If I remember correctly, it should be the 700th year since you announced your existence to the universe. That 100 years or so was also the most intense period of the revival tide and the most intense struggle among the top powerhouses. 700 years? I have to say that Li Yi was stunned. Is the future self so bad? I am at this level now, but I will become a god of law after 700 years? Is there another secret in between? Or did I hide my strength, and even Yan and Daohui didn't know? Are you sure I will become a god of law after 700 years? Li Yu asked again. At the same time, The subtle perception was fully activated, carefully observing the activities inside Yan's brain. He had only observed brain waves out of habit before, and had not observed brain activity. But at this moment, it was extremely important to his future life and death, so he had to examine it carefully. Yan nodded and said, yes, because at that time, Ling Yan and I were already strong enough, each reaching the quasi-god realm, with clear memory and no mistakes. Li Yu nodded slightly. There was nothing abnormal. Either Yan's brain and cognition had been completely tampered with by his future self. Or, it was indeed the case. It was just because they didn't know their future selves well and their realm was not high enough, so they couldn't see certain things. Well, let's just assume that this was true for now. Maybe there was another mystery in it. But no matter what, Li Yu didn't believe that he would have to wait 700 years to reach that realm. After all, although he was not taking the normal path now, whether it was his body or his soul, his divinity or his cognition of time and space, he was already at the forefront of the ranks of the masters. Theoretically, according to his breakthrough speed, he was not far from being a god of law. Unless the gap between humans and the gods of law is too big, it is necessary to break through the limitations of some biological underlying genes. But no matter what, it will not be delayed for 700 years. It seems that the future self has left a lot of problems for the present self. You said that I only need to do 3 things to become the third anchor point. Yan nodded. The most important thing is the first one. I believe you will know the specific method after seeing the fate of that person. Okay, Li Yu nodded. It seems that it still depends on Li Lulu. He immediately summoned Lin Jianlong and Black Life Supreme and asked them to help send Li Lulu over. With his current status, there is certainly no problem in ordering Lin Jianlong, the chief of the military. Although Lin Jianlong will feel awkward, now even his ancestor Dao, who is the work of the future Li Yi, so the generation is reversed. Although I am your junior now, I will be your ancestor in the future. So Li Yi is very at ease to order Lin Jianlong now. Old Lin, I used to feel a little ashamed when I asked you to do things, and I felt a little proud and disrespectful to my elders. Now, you, Old Lin, have the opportunity to learn more from me, the ancestor. This is a blessing. Of course, this is just what Li Yi thought in his heart. He still has to give due respect. After all, Lin Jianlong didn't know that he would lock the possibility of human birth in the future, making the birth of human beings unshakable and unchangeable except by super strong people. Do you want to say anything else? Li Yu looked at Yan. He had already wanted to offer tea and send him off. After all, he still had to concentrate on studying the transformation of the earth in front of him. Yan was silent for a while, and suddenly smiled shyly and said, Father God, I haven't seen you in your youth for a long time. I want to see more of you now. Why don't you let me and Dao who stay to accompany you, serving tea and water, chatting and warming the bed? We are all skilled in this business for many years. Li Yu was stunned. My future self is so playful? No, this place is above the earth. There is also the moon next door. Are you Yan or Dao who now, Father God? We sisters have been one since we came to the 6th era with the seeds of human life, especially when we met Jiu Ayu last time. Our fusion was highly integrated. You can also give us a new name now. Chapter 509 Root. 2 sisters merged into one? How could this future me have such a bad taste? Li Yu shook his head and said, no need, since you are aware of the distinction anyway, I will still call you Yan. As for whether you want to stay, it's up to you. Now, I'm going to start practicing. You can play by yourselves. So Yan also stayed. After that, Chen Kaiongzi came back and stared at Yan. After that, He Ming and Lin Jianlong also brought Li Lulu over, and the whole Void Island became much more lively. He Ming and Lin Jianlong were also knowledgeable and did not stay to spoil the fun. Of course, it was also because they found that there seemed to be too many beautiful women in the situation before them. There were so many that there might be problems. They asked themselves that they did not have the strength to interfere in Li Yi's affairs, so they fled away. So, on the Void Island, except for Li Yi, there were Dao Wei 2, the Supreme Edition and the Newborn Edition, Yan 2, the Queen Sister Edition and the Elf Edition, and the energetic girl Li Lulu who had just reached adulthood, and the heroic and long-legged Chen Kaiongzi. Each of them has their own charm, which really makes Li Yi, who has been a straight man for a long time, have a straight-up happiness index. Of course, there are many troubles. After all, although he has dealt with many similar things in the memory fragments he absorbed in his early years. But most of them are family matters. And here, either the girl of destiny, his sister, or the last blood inheritor of the ancient martial saint, the only human who has mastered the seed of the secret art, and his earliest and best instructor, or the creator of mankind, the space-time life form, the master of the soul charm field, the first life form he created, his half-daughter, or the sower of the human life fire, the metal life form, the master of the soul healing field, the second life form created, his other half-daughter. This relationship is really messy. Therefore, although Li Yi has so many people to accompany him, he mainly observes the transformation of the earth. And, by the way, he helps several people to forge their bodies and do various experiments. It's like I'm still a straight man. It's quiet enough. Time gradually passed. Li Yi finally got all the information hidden in Li Lulu's fate. The information contained in it was very complicated. It was so complicated that Li Yi only finished deciphering most of the information on the 7th day after Li Lulu arrived. During these 7 days, Li Yi also took time to train Li Lulu and improve her strength. After all, this is a void island. Although it is safe enough in theory, we still have to be prepared. Li Lulu is gifted and has broken through to the middle level of evolution by driving the divine mecha of the Destiny God sequence. Although this speed is not as fast as his, it is really good. Moreover, Li Yi found that as Li Lulu's strength increased, the information hidden in her Destiny virtual phase was gradually revealed. At this moment, Li Yi naturally worked harder. This day. Snap. 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 Li Yi whipped Li Lulu. Li Lulu was wearing a close-fitting Mecha pilot's driving suit, and a soft bangs covered a pair of black pearl eyes that became wet due to the pain. She was slender, with straight shoulders and back, and her smooth forehead was slightly sweaty, her cheeks were slightly red, and she groaned continuously. Finally, bang! Li Lulu's body was filled with crackling sounds of joints rubbing against each other. The universe was also shaken by the fate brought about by this breakthrough, and some void ripples were generated. She broke through to the heavenly evolver of the fate sequence. Even with Li Yi's means, he could never help others achieve the feat of advancing 2 levels in 7 days. However, Li Lulu had a special gift, and Li Yi happened to have a high enough understanding of the concept of fate. Li Lulu did not need to control the divine mecha. He directly extracted part of the divine will of the fate sequence and forged it directly, which was enough to make Li Lulu's physical body and divinity greatly improved. By the way, Li Yi could also collect the physical changes of the fate sequence and the information hidden in Li Lulu's fate virtual phase, which was a 3-pronged approach. Brother, you are so powerful. Li Lulu felt the endless surge in her body, like a vast ocean, and shouted in surprise. After the pain, there is always wind and rain and rainbow. I feel like I have gotten some of my brother's essence now. My ability to observe fate has greatly improved. Li Yi smiled and nodded. It's good to have improved. You have just reached the heavenly rank, and there is still a lot to learn. You should review and summarize it first. I have also gained a lot, and I need to think about it carefully. Li Lulu nodded like a chicken pecking at rice. Okay, then brother, you go about your business. I can walk by myself. Li Yi smiled and said, then you should pay attention. After accumulating and forging for a long time, your body still has some minor injuries, especially your thighs and waist, which bear higher forces. Pay attention to using the Destiny Divinity to repair your body in the next 2 days, okay, brother? After Li Lulu left, Li Yi also fell into deep thought. Since Li Lulu broke through the heavenly rank, all the Destiny information that should be seen clearly has been seen clearly. The information involved in this part is very complicated. To summarize simply, there are mainly 3 points. First, Li Lulu's destiny has been determined since birth. He is the inheritor of the name Lu. The name Lu also carries an unshakable fate that has long been fixed by a powerful person. The core of this fate is a special gene inherited from the original Lu. After a long period of evolution, this gene will awaken the fate endowment, and even without practicing, it can see the false appearance of other people's fate. Seeing Li Yi's fate and telling him is one of Li Lulu's predetermined fate. The second predetermined fate will happen in the future, after Li Yi obtains the secret book of time. What will happen specifically is not certain for the time being. It is necessary to wait until Li Yi takes control of the secret book of time before Li Lulu's fate will change and pass this news to Li Yi. But this is also the most important and core. This point was revealed to Li Yi by the Guard man before. Second, In Li Lulu's fate, a part of the very profound concept knowledge of the root sequence was passed on. This is probably part of the root sequence knowledge that he comprehended after proving the Dao of the God of Law. I am afraid that this is to let Li Yi trigger new memory fragments in the dream plane by contacting this knowledge. Because before this, Li Yi's knowledge of the concept of the root sequence was still far inferior to that of the time-space sequence. The so-called root sequence is a top-level concept sequence on par with the time-space sequence. If you fully understand it, your strength can completely surpass those gods who control the ancient laws of companions. Even the God of Years can probably be directly suppressed. Among them, the three major derivative characteristics under the root sequence are creation, matter, and life, which are on par with the three major characteristics of time, years, and time. At present, Li Yi has a good understanding of the life sequence, but not the other two. This part of knowledge just makes up for this part of the shortcomings. Chapter 510 Enemy. This part of knowledge is very huge, which is also the main reason why Li Yi spent 7 days to complete the deciphering. In the past few days, he has also begun to continuously absorb the corresponding memory fragments and improve his understanding of the corresponding characteristics. Although he has never come into contact with the two major root characteristics of creation and matter before, it is not difficult to learn at his current level. After all, there are many memory materials. There is also a third point. Li Yi only completely completed the deciphering content when Li Lulu broke through the heavenly position. This point is also the most important, involving the question of who is the enemy. Therefore, it is hidden so deeply. It requires Li Lulu's strength to reach a certain level before this hidden destiny message can be seen through. The future self is indeed far-reaching. So that's it, the enemy is actually him. The moment he saw through the enemy's message, Li Yi also felt extremely strange. This enemy is actually the mysterious thought he encountered in the heritage ruins before. The mysterious thought that has disappeared and is no longer known. However, the future self seems to be unsure of the identity of this mysterious thought. All I know is that this is at least infinitely close to the realm of true gods, and it may even be a true god who has retreated from the realm of true gods. At the beginning, this mysterious thought shocked Li Yi a lot. A thought that was pulled out of the world can trigger a terrifying thunder that can be heard for hundreds of kilometers. Such a soul thought is comparable to the strength of a quasi-god or even a supreme soul. If that mysterious thought had not been restricted by the resurrection or other influences, it would have been very easy to wipe them out. As a result, when the human strongman went to find the heritage ruins, he left alone. Perhaps, that period of time was the weak period of that strong man. If I was stronger at that time, I might be able to find the traces of this strong man now and kill him directly. No, if the future me can affect my current time and space, there is no reason not to cause trouble for him. It seems that there is a high probability that he can resist this attack across time and space. I don't know if he recognized that I was his future enemy at that time. If so, I have to be on guard against him leaving some backup beside me. This must be prevented. It's no wonder that Li Yi thought so. Because that thought was good at invading the human body before. It's unknown if there were some traps when the thought was pulled out before. After all, although the mysterious thought was weak at that time and couldn't kill him, it should be feasible to leave some backup. At that time, Zheng Chaoku's clone froze a lot of thoughts. I can go and retrieve a batch of them when I have time, although Li Yi thought so. But judging from the strength of the mysterious thought and his various plans in the future, this guy shouldn't be frozen so easily. No one has paid attention to this time, so there may be other means of diversion, and it is still unknown. Think about this matter later. The most urgent thing is the transformation of the Earth. I have already vaguely seen some clues of this change. After the Earth thing is done, before boarding the ship, I can take some time to investigate. With his mindset, Li Yi continued to pay attention to the transformation of the Earth. On the other side, Yan saw Li Lulu leave, so he came over with a plate. As soon as Li Yi saw this state, he knew that the Yan in front of him should be the ancient Dao way, that is, when he returned to the past. The mature and elegant beauty who is good at soul charm and can calmly force Jiu to leave when facing Jiu. She is still dazed now. After experiencing the great event of creating a race, the whole person's charm can be said to have greatly improved. To say that among all the women that Li Yi has a good relationship with, Dao Wei is really the strongest in terms of charm. One is that her realm is high, approaching the master. The second is that she has experienced the countercurrent of time and space, as well as the creation of races and the cultivation of human strongmen. After experiencing many major events, the whole state is naturally different. From simplicity to dignity, majesty, and tribulation, she even possessed the strategy and confidence to easily resist strong enemies. Even if she was using the body of Yan in this life, she could show a completely different charm just by her words and deeds. The same body, with a different main consciousness, has such a distinct change in state and temperament. This must be because the main consciousness itself is full of attractive factors. If this body is in the state of Lingayan, the same body, the temperament is more inclined to be 3-point pure, 3-point ethereal, and 4-point tranquil. It gives people the feeling that she is a saint-like personality that is difficult to approach and has strict self-discipline. That is, she has a natural intimacy with Li Yi, which shows all kinds of differences. This is also the early essence of metal life, which brings her temperament characteristics. Although she has now transformed into a human body, she has undoubtedly brought this temperament to her reincarnation in this life after completing the sowing of civilization. What is this? Li Yu looked at the tea brought by Dao Hu. Dao Wei smiled and said, "This is the tranquilizing tea I made from some of the grass leaves grown on this island through various soul cultivation methods. The secret recipe comes from you in the future, you can try it." Li Yu's heart moved. It's a bit interesting. Since Yan confronted him, his future self has a stronger sense of existence. Is it because he is already strong enough, so he doesn't worry about interfering with history, but hopes to strengthen his future self? After all, Li Yu has grown to a sufficient height now. Even if he doesn't take the initiative to become an anchor, his own existence alone determines that certain things in the future are destined to happen. It's like if a reef on the sea is big enough, it will become an island and will be destined to receive a certain existence that drifts from a certain direction in the future. And if the reef doesn't grow bigger, but is flattened by the waves, then even if a certain existence drifts in the future, it will not be able to receive it. If the existence of a thing is big enough, it will naturally make some things destined to happen. For example, because of Li Yi's current height and existence, humans in the future will also be destined to survive. Unless a stronger existence interferes with this matter. And now, there are probably not many strong people in this universe who can interfere with Li Yi's matter. On the other hand, when the self of this era becomes strong enough, the future self can always find a way to connect with the self of this era, and there is no need to worry about irreversibly changing the history experienced by the future self. In other words, Li Yi is now very close to a semi-high-dimensional species. The so-called high-dimensional species are species that transcend time and space, are not affected by time and space, and can freely travel in it. When he realized this, Li Yi couldn't help but feel a little emotional. He is so strong, but he still has to guard against this and that, which shows that he is not strong enough. He must become stronger. With a flash of thought, he took the cup of tea, observed it for a moment, and then brought it to his mouth and drank it slowly. Huh? This tea is quite interesting. As soon as he drank it, his eyes lit up. Chapter 511 Give me a child. This tea is not ordinary. It can actually speed up the dissolution of his redundant memory fragments. Although he can dissolve it by himself at his current level. But over time, it can save a lot of time. It's not bad to think so. Not bad, you can prepare this tea for me every day in the future. Li Yu smiled. Dao Wei smiled and looked back at Li Yu with bright eyes. Okay, I will follow the will of the Great Father God. No, the words don't have to be so unusual. Yes, so that there is a sense of ritual. Li Yu shook his head. Well, as long as you like it. After all, he lacked the experience of cultivating Dao Wei and Yan to maturity, and he still felt strange about the transformation of these two people in his heart. It is estimated that it will take a long time to get along with them before he can slowly adapt to this change. After all, he is a slow-heating type in this regard. The memory fragments absorbed when he was young have made him much more immune to such things. Or in other words, the threshold is much higher. As a man in his prime and with an amazing body, his energy is of course very strong. So how did he vent when he was young? It's very simple. After experiencing the Shura field of multiple parallel memories, he naturally no longer cares about these things. Now, what he values more is the close relationship with the right person. This is undoubtedly the most comfortable mode. On the other side, Chen Kai-Ongziu also walked over with her long legs. Yes, walking. Unlike her usual straightforward style, she walked quite slowly. I don't know what she was struggling with secretly. Or, She may have realized some of her own thoughts and the inexplicable enemies that have appeared recently, so she is not as open as before. She has become more cautious. Chen Kaiyongzi is not wearing a driving training suit today. She changed into a light white suspender base shirt, revealing a neat collarbone and round white shoulders. The slender calves under the 5-point shorts are shiny white. The slender and beautiful arms are behind her back. The fingers are intertwined and slowly bounce with her mood. She was wearing slippers, her pink and white toes clattering on the dense grass. She was different from her hardcore style in the past, and she looked a little more charming, which made Li Yi look at her a few more times, secretly praising Lao Chen's style. She can defend when advancing and be fresh when retreating. She just suddenly changed her outfit. What is she trying to do? Li Yi smiled and said, Lao Chen, what's wrong? Why do you look like you want to come over, but you don't dare to come? Chen Kaiyongzi dodged his eyes and said, No, I'm just taking a walk. Then this void island is so big, why don't you go somewhere else for a walk, but come to hang out here? Li Yi smiled. Chen Kaiyongzi stroked a strand of hair on her temples and said calmly, You didn't stipulate that we can't hang out here at this time, right? I think the view here is good, and I can see the changes of the earth, which is good. Okay, Lao Chen, just come and sit over here, I have the best seat. Li Yi patted the grass beside him. Okay, since you invited me, of course I have to accept it. After all, you are the captain and I am your vice captain, Chen Kaiyongzi whispered to herself, took long steps, walked quickly, and sat down next to Li Yi. This series of actions was so fast that it seemed like they had been rehearsed. Li Yi smiled slightly, and his arm naturally reached out to hold Chen Kaiyongzi's waist, which was soft. It can be felt that when Li Yi's fingers touched Chen Kaiyongzi, her body trembled, as if she was frozen, and her whole body was tense. After a while, she relaxed a little. Li Yi, why do your hands feel different today than usual? Chen Kaiyongzi wondered, and naturally grabbed Li Yi's other empty palm. Let me see if there are any strange changes in your palm. Huh? It seems that I saw it wrong. It's really strange. Li Yi felt quite strange when he heard Chen Kaiyongzi's words. Gradually, the two people's palms were grasped and did not separate. Chen Kaiyongzi listened to Li Yi's breathing, and her body unconsciously moved closer and closer to Li Yi. Li Yi clearly heard Chen Kaiyongzi's violent heartbeat like thunder, and laughed in his heart. It seems that Chen Kaiyongzi is no different from a little girl who has just come to her senses in this regard. Slowly, the two of them snuggled together. The place where they sat was the edge of the void island. From this position, you can see the blue earth at a glance. You can clearly see the countless changing clouds and mountains on the surface of the earth. Looking at the huge planet in front of her, Chen Kaiyongzi's heartbeat calmed down. However, this calmness is only relative to before. Before, it was a vibration like thunder. Now, it is a vibration like an engine starting. She encouraged herself in her heart and wanted to say something else. At this time, she saw tea in front of her, so she wanted to drink a sip to relieve the feeling of dry mouth. Even though she had recently broken through to the high stage of the heavenly rank with the help of Li Yi and was about to break through to the strongest, she still couldn't control her feelings. She grabbed the teacup and slowly handed it to her mouth. At this time, Li Yi spoke. Old Chen, well, what's the matter? Give me a baby. Puff. Chen Kaiyongzi spurted out a mouthful of tea. The tea dripped onto the edge of the air-suppressing membrane, like crystal water drops dripping on a lotus leaf, reflecting the sunlight. It looked like drops of beautiful pearls. However, Chen Kaiyongzi was confused. What do you mean by giving me a baby? Although it's not impossible. But, isn't this progressing too fast? Old Chen, I have recently figured out a way to make my genes compatible with yours. Now is the most appropriate time to have a baby, Li Yi said. My body will become stronger and stronger in the future, and your body may not be able to withstand the changes of this newborn. So, without further ado, let's do it tonight. How about it? Chen Kaiyongzi looked confused. Who am I? What am I doing? Where did I come from? What did I want to do when I came here just now? She was stunned for a long time. Then he said, Li Yi, is it April Fool's Day today? Or, when you say giving birth, do you mean creating a human being like you created Daohu and Lingayan? These days, she naturally gradually learned the true origins of Daohu and Lingayan. No one told her specifically, but with daily contact and observation of some of Daohu and Lingayan's behaviors and words, it is not difficult to see these things. Li Yi shook his head. Of course not. I mean, let's just get married and complete this important event in life while everything is calm recently. After all, you said that you would be my deputy captain for the rest of your life. Have you forgotten? Chen Kaiyongzi was stunned. Did I say for a lifetime? Li Yi smiled. Of course it's for a lifetime. This is what you and I agree on, isn't it? So, while we are in a good state now, let's get started. As he said that, Li Yi suddenly made a move. His hands reached along Chen Kaiyongzi's back. One hand grabbed Chen Kaiyongzi's left armpit, the other hand grabbed Chen Kaiyongzi's left leg, and directly gave her a princess hug. Let's go. Chen Kaiyongzi clamped Li Yi's arm with her wide calves and tensed her whole body at once. Chapter 512 Happy. Li Yi changed his usual style and carried Chen Kaiyongzi in his arms like a princess. This scene was witnessed by many people. For a time, it triggered many emotions among the people. Li Lulu was the purest. Seeing this scene, she felt that it was extremely beautiful and moved. Although she and her brother were apart for a long time, she had determined from his fate that Li Yi would be the person she could entrust her life to since she met him. Although there was an inexplicable sadness in her heart, she was more happy. Brother also has someone he likes. In Yan's heart, two consciousnesses had a dialogue. I didn't expect that Father God would take that step. This is a destined step. I wonder if the young master will also have extraordinary talents in the future. The future Father God said that as long as both parties drink the calming tea, there should be no problem. That's good. It seems that the birth of the fourth major anchor point is inevitable. In fact, I think Father God has long seen through our thoughts and knew that we should have a child. Otherwise, he wouldn't suddenly want a child. Indeed, Father God has the ability to easily see through our thoughts. He just didn't say our thoughts. Alice, it's a pity. I also want to give him a child. Why can't this person be me? It was Dao Wei who said this. Only when the main consciousness communicates with each other will they let go so quickly and say so many things in their hearts. Dao Wei's essence is the present time. She has been with Li Yi for hundreds of years from ignorance to growth. She has had this idea in her heart for a long time. The so-called warm bed, in fact, is naturally not there. Dao Wei said this to Li Yi at the beginning, purely for fun. But although it is funny, it also means to say the truth as a joke. In this world, there are too many words that are said as jokes, but they don't work. In the center of the Void Island, there is a rest room in the style of an ancient temple that Li Yi rubbed out by hand. It is spacious, simple, and decorated with the characters of the first era. It can attract a small part of the original energy to enhance the living experience inside. Long-term stay can improve qualifications, lifespan, physical body and soul, and there are many benefits. Although the layout is simple, it is a supreme luxury for ordinary people. This is also a rest room that Li Yi made before. Now it is used in this occasion, which is appropriate. The light-colored door opened without wind, and Li Yi hugged Chen Kaiyongzi, who was tense, and walked straight into the door. This white jade-like body is still tense. Creak. The door closed automatically. Plop. Li Yi threw Chen Kaiyongzi onto the soft green plant bed. This bed is also an artificial plant that he cultivated in his own time, and he transformed the internal gene shape to form an automatic memory bed. Soft, and smooth. Forged by him with the divine will of the prison, its strength and toughness are very reliable. Even a quasi-god level strongman may not be able to break it with a full strength attack. It is just right for him and Chen Kaiyongzi to have a happy time. Chen Kaiyongzi was thrown onto the bed by Li Yi, and immediately turned over and stood up, as if he wanted to escape. Snap. Li Yi grabbed Chen Kaiyongzi's shoulders and smiled. Old Chen, why are you so scared when the time comes? Chen Kaiyongzi swallowed her saliva, glanced at Li Yi carefully. And her eyes dodged for a moment. How could I escape, you kid? Your actions are so rough. How can you treat the instructor like this? Her suspenders had slipped to one side, revealing a strong and beautiful shoulder that was round and flawless like white jade. Under Li Yi's slightly aggressive admiring gaze, her words became a little weak. She has always been tough, and when faced with something she is not good at, she can't help but show an unprecedented weakness. Is it rough? You're joking, instructor. With this amount of strength, someone else wouldn't be able to push you. I think you're confused, instructor. Li Yi changed his words and called him instructor, and said with a smile, let me think about it. Should I call you Lao Chen, instructor, or madam, wife? Chen Kaiyongzi held a wall with both hands, leaned back, and became more and more nervous, as if her heart was about to jump out of her chest. You should call me Lao Chen. Doing that while calling instructor, it always feels a bit immoral. As for wife, it feels so disgusting. Do that. What? Li Yi said with a smile. Chen Kaiyongzi's face flushed slightly when asked, and in a hurry, she shouted, so much nonsense. Are you going to get on? Get on, get on, Lao Chen, you're really impatient. Li Yi smiled and approached Chen Kaiyongzi, stretched his hand under Chen Kaiyongzi's cheek, and rubbed it gently. His fingers also unfastened the buckle under her tank top. Chen Kaiyongzi was a little itchy, and the tension in her body gradually decreased. She wanted to refute a few words. But with Li Yi's superb movements, she slowly became intoxicated. She squinted her eyes and hummed slightly. Her voice became weaker and weaker, as low as a mosquito. How are you so skilled? I am so talented, of course I can learn everything quickly. Li Yi remained calm. The experience learned from the memory fragments was certainly not his own practice. Then be gentle, I can't stand the destruction of you, a big man who shocks the universe. Don't worry, Lao Chen, you have to have confidence in your body. Chen Kaiyongzi's voice became lower and lower. Gradually, it made a melodious and graceful sound like an aureole. Li Yi has superb skills and is proficient in all the subtle changes of the human body. After a series of operations, it was natural that Chen Kaiyongzi was easily sent to unprecedented joy and pleasure. Time passed slowly. The sun rose and set, and 7 days passed unknowingly on the Void Island. The two strong men fought one after another, even though there was a big gap in strength. But with the help of Li Yi's bodybuilding method, Chen Kaiyongzi naturally did not feel any discomfort. On the contrary, he broke through the strongest and further reached the peak of physical strength. It was because the transformation of the earth was gradually coming to an end, and he had seen everything he should see, that Li Yi had time to do this. Before, he still valued the understanding given to him by the transformation of the earth. As for now, he enjoyed it. After all, this is the direct descendant of the first martial saint in ancient mankind, with a sensitive and special physique. The original version of the bodybuilding method was also created by Li Yi based on Chen Kaiyongzi's physical feedback. The experience and pleasure given to Li Yi are indeed not comparable to those insignificant experiences in memory fragments. In conjunction, his mental pressure and the pressure hidden deep in his heart brought by long-term practice are also continuously dissipated. Under the tension and relaxation, the soul surplus actually climbed steadily, breaking through the mark of more than 3,000 in one fell swoop. This progress can be said to be a double happiness. Moreover, Li Yi found that Chen Kaiyongzi's reaction was also really interesting, and there would be different little surprises every day. Gradually, this rare and pleasant week passed. The Earth finally reached the end of its transformation, presenting a completely different appearance, which shook the origin of the universe and attracted the attention of the powerful universe. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 513 Law Treasure. On this day, Li Yi left the Void Island and floated alone above the earth, quietly waiting for the moment when the earth completely completed its transformation. The changes in the endless mountains and rivers have shaken the origin of the universe and triggered very powerful changes in the universe. The changes at this moment are comparable to the drastic changes caused by his previous reversal of time. Boom. 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 The 1-month period ended, and the strong couldn't help but cast greedy eyes. Not only the dominant strong, but even those awakened ancient creatures were attracted one after another. With a huge roar of the origin of the universe, they have seen what changes are about to take place. It is a law artifact. A powerful artifact that can control the law. And it is not an ordinary law, but a powerful law that gave birth to Gaia God, a holy god-level existence. Although it is slightly inferior to the 3 major time and space and root laws, it is not as pure as the law of time, when the god of years alone controls it. But Mother Gaia herself also contains the 3 characteristics of huge creation, matter, and life. Although it cannot summarize the 3 major root laws, it is strong enough. When Gaia God left the universe in the past, he did not take such a companion treasure with him, but left it in the earth to continue nurturing. This step was beyond the expectations of most of the strong. After all, they had explored the earth before. The 7 ruins divisions had also been explored. But after so many years, they thought they would find nothing. But now it seems that there is another world in the 7 ruins divisions inside the Earth. It was even more unexpected that the Earth, together with the other 7 ruins divisions and the Gaia treasure, were completely integrated into one, forming a new and more powerful law treasure. It is undoubtedly more powerful than the companion treasure. After all, it contains the construction of many masters and supreme strongmen in various eras, all kinds of understandings and designs, which were all swept up and refined by the Gaia Mother and melted into one furnace. Everything is for the birth of the law treasure contained in this universe. For a time, the strong contacted each other and had their own ideas. If we can obtain the Gaia God's Law artifact, perhaps we can use it to transcend the restrictions left by the masters of the first era and directly become a god of law. No, even transcendence is not impossible, it's just that this treasure seems to be bound to fall into the hands of that new generation of strong men, and it's not easy to take it. We are numerous and powerful, how can we be afraid of him? Yes, although this new generation of strong men is strong, he may not be able to guard such a treasure with the combined strength of all of us. At that time, he can easily kill Jiuyu by controlling the divine armor. Even if our strength is not weaker than Jiuyu, we can't do it to that extent, right? Besides, I see that he has been practicing carefully for a while, and maybe he will make progress after the war. If you want to make a move, Baiyu, will not accompany you. In just 1 month, how strong can he be? With the power of a few of us, I will find a few more strong men, and we will threaten him together, and I will definitely make him commit. With too many people, won't we be able to divide the treasure? Don't be afraid, we can take turns. The ones who were talking about taking action were the lords and supremas of the third era. Their overall strength was the weakest in this era, and they were the most eager to break through and the most united. In other eras, except for the fifth era which was slightly better, most of the other eras were strong and coexisted, with little communication between each other, forming their own factions. For example, some lords were born in the early era, but it was difficult to transcend in the early era, so they chose to sleep until thousands of years before the disaster came, and then woke up one after another, looking for opportunities to prove their Dao. However, since there were few lords and few peers in the early era, the earlier the lords, the higher their talent, and the less sociable they were. For example, the Supreme Puang, whom Liu met before, was also a genius in the early third era. In his era, he blossomed alone, cultivated the conceptual power of the one-ho clone, and transformed into millions of incarnations, which was also a top-level figure. If he had not been alone at the end of the era, he might have been able to prove his Dao as Lord. But things went wrong, and he was eventually trapped in the Enlightenment Mountain, and has not yet found a chance to escape. After a brief exchange, 5 dominant masters and 2 top supreme masters from the third era decided to go together and force Liu to give up the law artifact. As for the other masters, they mostly watched the show. But if the battle situation fell into chaos, they would not mind taking advantage of the situation. After all, there will be many situations like this in the future. Before each disaster, the law loosens, countless opportunities to prove the truth, and the means left by the previous generations of masters will all show up one by one. Outside the earth, Liu stood in the sky, staring at the fate of himself and his loved ones for a moment, and he knew what new variables would occur next. With his increasingly powerful cognition of time and space at this moment, he could observe fate from a high vantage point and almost nothing would be missed. Originally, it would be fine if these masters did not have any thoughts. But if they had thoughts and took some actions, he would be aware of it. Interesting, this Gaia Mother treasure has attracted so many covetous people. Not only the strong men of the third era, but even the newly awakened ancient creatures have appeared. Maybe there are some stronger ones who hide their thoughts and will not be detected by me. These are also troublesome. Well, let's set up a grand killing game and let these strong men who covet the treasure enjoy it. At this moment, Liu didn't know what his strength was. But at least, it would be no problem to maintain the holy armor for 2 hours. 1-on-1 is believed to be enough to kill any dominant strong man below the first era. 1-on-3 or 4, it is estimated that there will be no problem. But if there are more, we have to consider the power generated by their combined attacks and the coordination of conceptual power. Therefore, Liu decided to use the Gaia Mother treasure in front of him to set up an amazing killing game, kill all the invading enemies in one fell swoop, and severely deter those bold guys. These old men, who can't prove their own way, want to rob others of their opportunities. This is the way to death. Haha. They probably don't know that I have already had a very high understanding of Mother Gaia, Li Yi had a sneer on his face. With the help of his future self, his understanding of the characteristics of the two laws of creation and matter can be said to have made great progress. Combined with a long-term observation of the transformation of the Earth, and the various memory fragments in the dream plane, once the transformation of Mother Gaia is completed, he will instantly control it. At that time, he can look forward to how the situation will develop. As the thought flashed through his mind, he reached out and pushed the void island far into the jump state and sent it to the vicinity of the border star. At the same time, he also conveyed the message of thought to reassure everyone. Next, the entire solar system will be his battlefield alone. Chapter 514 World God. Boom. 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 The final transformation of the Earth has begun. The origin of the universe roared continuously, becoming more and more amazing. More ancient strongmen revived in advance under this roar. Is it that a true god wants to prove his truth? No, it's the appearance of a law artifact. There are only 6 law artifacts in the universe. Only true gods and holy gods can wield law artifacts, one after another. Huge figures that can be reflected in the depths of time and space rushed to the solar system. One after another, towering ancient creatures with bodies of tens of thousands of meters appeared, breaking through time and space from the restricted areas of the universe, and appeared with a bang. The strongmen who smelled the smell were unwilling to lag behind, and they set off directly without even communicating privately. These strongmen are mostly lone rangers of different times. Unlike the last time Li Yi broke through, although it also attracted the observation of some masters and supremas. But the top strongmen, such as the ancient creatures, have never observed too much. Of course, it doesn't mean that they don't care. But some of them have not yet fully awakened, or are too far away to feel this battle. This time, it is a law artifact that can only be refined by a true god-level strongman. You know, even the secret book of time has vast effects and can change the fate of others or even an entire race at will. It is also an item that Li Yi is determined to obtain. But in terms of status, it is still a big level inferior. After obtaining the law artifact, let alone other things, can it be used to comprehend the secret of transcending the universe? Or use it to have unparalleled combat power? These are the benefits that they can think of at the first time. A real opportunity to prove the truth. For a time, in addition to many ancient creatures that have not yet proved the truth, even the gods of law, there are several of them, their figures hidden in the depths of time and space, quietly observing the great event of the birth of the law artifact. Among these gods of law, one has already set his sights on the earth. He is called the boundary god. Born 300,000 meters high, human-shaped, with thick limbs, a single eye and a pointed nose, and a corner on the top of the forehead. The whole body is green and covered with many space plants. The body is majestic, comparable to an asteroid. He had been drifting and sleeping at the edge of the universe, moving naturally along the diffusion waves at the edge of the universe, and exploring the infinite unknowns at the edge of the universe. Now, the movement of Gaia Mother's treasure is so loud that even he is startled. He has been sleeping since the end of the 5th era, and originally did not want to pay attention to the 6th disaster. But this powerful roar of the origin of the universe is really impossible for him to ignore. After enduring for a long time, he still couldn't give up the powerful temptation brought to him by this treasure. The companion law he controls is called the law of the void realm. In essence, it is one of the derivative laws of the characteristics of light and shadow, but it is more than that. After all, this is a law, and it is a law that has existed since the ancient times. The characteristics contained in it are naturally more than just the derivative characteristics of light and shadow. It has the effect of distinguishing and suppressing countless time and space interlayers. It also has the effect of turning all things into nothingness. It is also mixed with other ancient concepts that existed in ancient prehistoric times. These have merged into an aggregate that is like 7 or 8 dominant concepts in parallel and series, which is the law of the void realm. In terms of status, it is far above the ordinary master level. It is also comparable to the masters of the first era. Although his law status is not as good as other gods of law, he is also a well-known existence in the universe with other means. Of course, there is a reason why his law is not as good as other gods of law. That is because he achieved the realm of the god of law later, at the end of the 2nd era. Therefore, his ancient law was restricted by the masters of the 1st era at that time, and his power was not as good. Although he is in the realm of the god of law, it is not complete. This is also the reason why he is eager for this law artifact. Among all the gods of law, It can be said that this thing is the most useful to him. However, although the laws of the boundary gods are incomplete, they are born with a strong life status. When they really fight, they are still not weaker than ordinary gods of law. The masters of the third era are really whimsical. His laws allow him to easily capture abnormal transition fluctuations in various parts of the universe. At the first time, he found that the masters of the third era gathered together, looking like they were aiming for something big. This also caused the boundary gods to sneer. Such a treasure is coveted by all of us, the gods of law. How dare you, short-lived creatures, plot against it? His sight crossed countless light years and fell above the earth, observing Li Yi. You know, he is not like other strong men. He is now at the edge of the distant universe. The distance from the Earth is a full 10 billion light years. Those supreme masters who heard the movement and cast their eyes on it are at most a dozen star fields away. Even if a few star fields are far away, they are only tens of thousands of light years away. If it is farther, 100,000 or 200,000 light years, it will be difficult for these strong men to see through it at a glance. After all, to achieve such power, either one has a high enough understanding of the nature of the universe in time and space, and has a certain degree of dimensional vision. Or, one can use the origin of the universe to reversely observe, extract information, and refill in the specific picture intelligence. Or, the concept of the main cultivation has similar information observation capabilities, and also comprehends the level of the master of the first era. Or, like the realm god, he has natural physical power, and his vision can penetrate the universe and see anything he wants to see. His one eye, called the candle realm reflecting the truth eye, is one of his accompanying physical powers. In addition, he also has the hand of melting the realm of nothingness, the indestructible body of the 10,000 worlds, and the soul of the universe light attracting the invisible. The above four natural physical powers are the reason why he is still famous, even though his power of law is defective and his status is not high. In terms of the strength and mystery of his natural power, he is also enough to rank among the top 10 among prehistoric and ancient prehistoric creatures. If it weren't for the high intensity of the law confrontation, with his natural physical power, I'm afraid he could be even more famous. At this moment, he used the candle realm reflecting the truth eye to penetrate billions of light years and saw Li Yi's figure in his eyes. This person is extraordinary, the body clearly contains a trace of supreme mystery. Is this the immortal characteristic? After observing for a while, a little surprise appeared in his only eye. There is actually someone who can give birth to the immortal characteristic in the body. It is hidden very deeply, almost undetectable. It's a pity that it can't be hidden from me. This person's future achievements may allow him to join the ranks of our magic gods with a short-lived body. Even more than that, well, let's go and take a look. If this person really has the qualifications and capacity to handle such treasures, what if we let him have a try? But if he can't do it, then I will accept it with a smile. Just as the thought flashed through his mind, suddenly, the realm god discovered that in the distant field of vision, the human who was less than 2 meters tall and wearing a single-color divine armor turned his gaze. It seemed that he was looking at him. He saw me. Chapter 515, Covering the Sky. The two of them just crossed billions of light years of time and space and stared at each other for a while. Then they each extinguished the corresponding sight that fell on their own, and stopped the other party's continued spying. The god of the realm was really surprised. This new generation of strong man has something. His originally calm heart like suddenly became turbulent. This new generation of strong man must have understood some core things, key things. The immortal characteristics, the superb cognition of time and space, easily extinguished his means of spying. Although his current spying has exceeded 10 billion light years, the power has been greatly reduced, and it is normal to be extinguished. But no matter from which level, this new generation of strong man is not ordinary. Let's go, it's so lively, we must get together. In addition to the god of the realm, the strong from all sides also gathered one after another. Outside the earth, the first batch of masters and top supremes have gathered. After Li Yi extinguished the sight of the god of the realm, he was also slightly shocked. This strong man is one of the top 3, no, he is even one of the top 2. The reason why he said the top 2 is because Li Yi also found traces of another strong man. However, this strong man's sight is more hidden and cautious, and he did not observe directly. So although Li soon vaguely sensed a change in the trend of fate, he still did not confirm it. It may also be that he misjudged that the world god is the first. No matter which strongman they are, as long as they are not at the level of the top magic god, no matter how many come, it will not have much impact on Li Yi's next killing game. Of course, if there are 20 or 30 strong men of the level of Jiuyu, it is estimated that it will be enough. But Li Yi estimated that it should not be so. Although the universe is big, the number of strong men is also limited. Jiuyu's level is rare. Counting some top strong men who were not attracted, this situation is still relatively safe. Of course, Li Yi's biggest confidence is that Gaia's mother treasure has actually completed its transformation. These changes now are just his cover-up. The purpose is to make these strong men think that he has not mastered this thing. But in fact, he has already quietly mastered most of it. Although it has not been completely solved, it is enough with his current strength. So, after a month of accumulation, how much stronger has Li Yi become? Simply measured by numbers, it is probably that the immortality has increased to 450 strands, the soul surplus is 3000, and the total amount of the prison-suppressing divine will has completely entered the threshold of the supreme level. In terms of the compression level of time and space, it has also broken through the 40,000 mark in one fell swoop. The growth in all aspects is quite amazing. Among them, the holy armor transformation, observing the transformation of the earth, perfecting the bodybuilding method for the women, and the efficiency of absorbing memory fragments after the soul obtains a trace of immortality are the core driving forces. Now my pure physical body should be about the same strength as the top masters of the first era. With other trump cards, we have to fight to know how the combat power is. Just in case, we must be cautious when launching the next layout to avoid slipping through the net. His plan this time is also very simple. As long as it is activated at the critical moment, a huge space-time layer will be launched, wrapping the entire solar system, and all the strong men with malicious intent will be included. After entering the space-time layer, he will naturally be the leader here. Except for a few strong ones, most of those who come here can only be cannon fodder. Li Yi's eyes swept around for a moment, and he waited slowly. Not enough. Far from enough. Some strong men must be hurt thoroughly to make his reputation completely known. Those gathered in front of him are not enough to fill his teeth. It seems that some strong men are afraid of my reputation last time and don't have such courage. Li Yi observed for a moment and sneered in his heart. Since you're here, it means you're planning to fish in troubled waters. Haha, let me add fuel to the fire. If you don't come down, my killing game won't be interesting enough. Thinking of this, Li Yi laughed loudly, and his voice shook the origin of the universe and spread throughout the universe. I am very happy to welcome you all. Today, I have obtained this law treasure, and I will surely achieve the great way. Why don't you come and watch the ceremony and watch me refine and control this treasure? He spoke and invited, naturally to give those strong men who wanted to fish in troubled waters a fair reason to approach. Even, hiding evil intentions. To seduce those strong men who are not strong-willed. After all, these are all future troubles, and they will definitely cause endless troubles in the future when the tide of recovery comes. It is better to take advantage of the fact that some strong men have not yet recovered to their peak state, and take advantage of his own state to destroy these strong men who have ill intentions towards him in one fell swoop. Sure enough, after Li Yi made the invitation, there were indeed many more towering figures in the solar system. In a short time, within tens of thousands of light seconds, time and space appeared to be concave. This was because many powerful people had escaped from their hidden state, and their existence directly exerted pressure on the universe and time. The orbits of the 8 planets also changed significantly. Ha ha ha, Lord Yi is really happy. We are here to congratulate Lord Yi on obtaining this treasure. Such a great joy. How can we not feel joy? Yes, yes. The first to respond were naturally the lords of the third era. They occupied the outer orbit of Neptune, driving a series of 10,000-meter class supreme mechas. The arrogants overlapped with each other, and there was also a unique majesty. The first one was called the Lord of the Heavenly Dragon. His body was a divine creature that appeared at the end of the second era. He was born with a length of 1,000 meters, with deer horns, crocodile mouth, horse head, and lizard body. His whole body was golden. His essence was the blood inheritance of the ancient creature True Dragon, and his lifespan was also long. Although not as good as the original saints, he was also a famous immortal species in the divine era. He attained enlightenment in the middle of the third era and ruled for most of the third era. The era he ruled was called the Qianlong dynasty. He was very powerful and famous, and was even better than Jiuyu. He was also the only strong man in the Third Era who could be on par with the masters of the First Era. He was the confidence of the masters of the Third Era. Without the command of the Xianlong Lord, the other Supreme Masters would not be able to keep up with this wave of action. He was also driving a special divine mecha that the Xianlong dynasty spent tens of thousands of years to build and customize for the Xianlong Lord. This mecha is 110,000 meters high, shaped like a humanoid dragon, and is blue-red all over, very powerful. He was the first to speak. Li Sun looked at the Xianlong Lord from a distance, observed for a moment, and combined with the information he had obtained from He Ming and Lian Ming before, he also recognized him. Then he laughed and said, "So it's the Lord of the Heavenly Dragon who has come. It's a great honor for our humble home. Why do we need to stay on Neptune? Why not go forward and observe Mars up close? What do you think?" During this month, the rest of the people in the solar system also left one after another under Li Yi's orders. Today, of course, they are not afraid of being stepped on by these ancient strongmen. Chapter 516, Boundary Rift. Upon hearing this, the Dragon Lord narrowed his eyes slightly. Li Yi invited him so readily, he didn't know whether he was really calm or he didn't expect the attraction of the law artifact. His cockpit was unusually large, and it was easy to accommodate his 1,000-meter body. He observed Li Yi's face from a distance, thinking, after all, this person is still young. He may just be ambitious and don't understand the many situations since ancient times. Well, even if there is a trap, we are not afraid of it with our combat power. While the other strong men have not arrived yet, we can just use the momentum of thunder to sweep the cave and take down this treasure in one fell swoop, and escape in an instant. As his thoughts flashed, he called on his teammates behind to jump forward together. The Dragon Lord's move also attracted other strong men to move. They certainly wanted to reap the benefits of being a fisherman. But there are so many strong men, if they don't strike first, they may not be able to take down the treasure. If the other party sneaks into the nest, it may be difficult to find. For a while, some strong men also began to move forward. Seeing this, Li Sun immediately smiled and said, "Why don't you move? We are so far away that we can't see the wonderful things. In a while, I will refine this law artifact myself." He was obviously trying to seduce people, and some strong people were calm in their hearts and kept a distance. But more people took the initiative to move forward. They were all thinking, even if I get closer, there are still tens or hundreds of light seconds. Why should I be afraid? Even if he can kill Jiwei, he can't be so far away, and he can still cover this power, right? For a while, many strong people appeared in all directions of the solar system. Moreover, there are more and more. Li Sun observed for a moment and thought to himself, it's almost done. Although the big fish didn't take the bait, what we have now should be enough. Wait another minute. After 1 minute, whether we enter the solar system or not, we will start directly. As a result, before the 1 minute, only 15 seconds had passed, and the Dragon Lord arrived at Mars and started directly. He didn't even wait for the transformation of the Earth, and jumped to the sky above the Earth first. Then, without saying a word, he opened his huge hand and reached out to grab the Earth. From his palm, the majestic Dragon God's will swayed out, bypassing Li Yi and covering the Earth. "Dragon Lord, why is this happening?" Li Yi said hypocritically, but he did not respond directly, pretending to be shocked and angry. This performance also attracted a lot of hesitant masters to enter the solar system again. When the Dragon Lord moved, more than a dozen lone master-level masters appeared and attacked the Earth. "Damn it, Dragon Boy, how dare you take my treasure?" The Lord opened his mouth and regarded Gaia's mother's treasure as his treasure. While speaking, he drove a 70,000-meter divine mecha and flashed in. The colorful power of God's will was also stimulated, covering the Earth in the blink of an eye. His God's will was extremely fast, but he arrived first after starting later, which was faster than the God's will of the Dragon Lord. Another master who controls a master-level mecha appeared. His divine mecha was flaming red, like a fire phoenix. As soon as he appeared, a terrifying heat radiated out, which was hot enough to burn space. The surface of each planet suddenly ignited countless sky-high fires. The momentum was extremely shocking. It was obviously a divine mecha of the Vulcan sequence. Ho ha, Junior Xianlong, the Earth has not yet completely transformed. Why are you so impatient? If you destroy this transformation process, won't you be a sinner for eternity? A 160,000-meter tall ancient creature also leaped in. As soon as he appeared, he caused a terrifying distortion of gravity. The orbits of the planets in the solar system changed drastically, and the planets collided directly with each other. When he appeared, he spoke with a righteous posture. But when he spoke, he did not stop at all. He leaped to the earth and tore open the powerful divine barrier set by another master. More and more strong people gathered to the earth. From the edge of the solar system, they leaped to the range of the earth. For a time, the solar system was filled with the terrifying voices of many strong people that could shake time and space. Even the Xianlong Lord was stopped by another newly appeared lord, and an extremely shocking collision occurred. The violent roar of the origin of the universe also meant that the opponent of the Xianlong Lord was not ordinary. On the contrary, the main lord of this time, Li Yi, was actually ignored. Seeing this, Li Yi was speechless. Fortunately, he was still pretending to be the transformation of the earth. It seems that this wave was played in vain. These people are so eager to get ahead of others even if they are looking for death. In just a short while, many old lords and senior supremas who were not even mentioned in the intelligence of Black Life and Lion-Ming Supreme appeared. Even Li Yi saw the figure of Long Hu Supreme. This guy actually recovered a lot of strength and was quietly moving on the edge of the moon. With his Long Hu concept of hiding in the shadows, among the strong people present, no one can compare with him. Of course, this is also because Li Yi did not call Yuang Lord and Gu Xianwang to help this time. Ancient Heavenly King had been tortured by him for quite some time before, and naturally he would submit to him if he could strip him of his lifespan and destiny. However, the killing game that Li Yi wanted to create this time was a nearly indiscriminate killing method. There was no need to bring them with him this time. However, he was not slow at all, and directly activated Gaia's mother's treasure. The majestic source energy suddenly appeared above the earth, pouring down like a downpour. The earth, in the blink of an eye, combined with the source energy, and emitted an unprecedented violent tremor. Boom! In an instant, a magnificent super roar, like a giant iron hammer, crossed countless time and space and bombarded the origin of the universe. For a moment, the divine will in the bodies of the strong men also boiled uncontrollably. This violent and terrifying tremor actually shook the bodies of nearly 30 masters and more than 20 top supremas in the solar system and the divine Mecha in an instant, causing the divine patterns to run wild and unable to move. In the solar system, a terrifying space-time shock wave that was far-reaching, enough to destroy the heavens and the earth, and destroy everything, appeared out of thin air, and in the blink of an eye, it was about to smash all the stars, planets, and asteroids in the solar system. Suddenly, a huge space-time membrane appeared out of thin air, covering all the strong men. Even this terrifying space-time shock wave was wrapped in it and disappeared in an instant. In an instant, the solar system, which was originally quite lively, with a diameter of more than 40,000 light seconds, and the strong men who came to watch the excitement, all disappeared on the spot. Immediately afterwards, countless strong men who were transmitted into the space-time interlayer saw a scene that would shock them for the rest of their lives, a figure in three-color holy armor, suspended at the top of this space-time interlayer. The body of less than 2 meters, at the top of the space-time interlayer, suddenly reflected every area in the boundary. Far-reaching, boundless and vast. A strong man realized the problem and trembled all over. This is the method used by the Lord of the Rift Realm to create his own universe. This is his universe. Chapter 517 Execution. The scene of Li Yi splitting the sky and splitting the world, becoming the master of the small universe, was not only witnessed by the strong men who were sealed in the small universe by him. A few strong men who did not enter the solar system also witnessed this scene. They are stronger and more cautious. Therefore, in the depths of time and space that can see through tens of thousands of layers of time and space, there is a small universe comparable to the solar system. A trace of infinite and majestic figure was reflected. The shock in their hearts, which was beyond description, was simply beyond description. This is not an ordinary cutting of time and space. Instead, it is to completely transform the cut time and space into the time and space under one's control. This step is almost comparable to the top realm of the strongest masters of the first era. Although it is still far inferior in terms of coverage, at least this realm of cognition and control level are already at the same level. His mastery of time and space has reached such a level. In the distance, the world god observed the time and space cut by Li Yi and was also surprised. How long did it take him to reach this step? It seems that he didn't reach this realm in prehistoric times. It was not until he proved the law of the void that he could do so. However, It seems that there are many other things hidden in this huge space and time. This thing hides a huge amount of murderous intent. The world got observed for a while, and became more and more interested in the strength of this new era genius. In the microcosm. Why is he so strong? All the masters and the strongest stopped. Because they not only found the infinite and majestic figure of Li Yi reflected at the top of the microcosm. They also found that the earth was completely gone. No, it shouldn't be said that the earth was gone. Instead, the earth has shrunk and turned into a small blue ball, quietly floating in Li Yi's palm. This guy, it seems that he has already refined Gaia's mother treasure. Looking at the infinite and majestic figure at the top of the universe, the Xianlong master gnashed his teeth. Is he angry that his treasure was robbed? No, he is angry that he really fell into a trap. Shame and anger, shock and fear. The opponent's strength is obviously a big level stronger than his own. Even if his strength could match that of the masters of the first era, he was only at the tail of this group of strong men. My dear friends, this Master Yi is clearly ambitious. He wants to kill us. There should be no more internal strife in this battle. We must work together to kill him, and then divide the treasure among ourselves. How about that? As soon as this was said, the masters who had snatched it first responded one after another. They were also afraid of the strength that Li Yi showed at this moment. Even if they were in the same realm. But what Li Yi controlled was obviously the strongest power of time and space. He also split out such a large small universe and became its own master. With the blessing of this home court, he might be able to easily beat all the strong men present. That's right, only by joining forces can we win. In the whole venue, only a few ancient creatures did not respond. Most of those who responded were powerful masters of various eras. At the top of the small universe, Li Yi saw the reactions of the crowd. He was not afraid of them connecting with each other. It's not that he is overconfident, but that they have been separated too far by himself. This small universe seems to be only the scope of the solar system. But he has superimposed the design of time and space distortion. There are distorted time and space paths everywhere. They are not adapted to the rules here, so they can't jump immediately. This is something he designed many days in advance for this day. The complexity inside is so complicated that even if he suddenly breaks in, he can't immediately see the rules. If it were these masters who are not majoring in time and space, it would naturally be more difficult. When they adapt to the distorted time and space here, Li Yi also completed his set goal. Therefore, the so-called alliance is not afraid of them at all. Now, you only need to kill a few powerful ones, and the rest can be cleared in one fell swoop. Sure enough, as these strong men began to jump, they found the problem. Master Yi, I just came here to watch the ceremony and never thought of stealing treasures. Why do you do this? The Supreme and the Master began to communicate loudly. Master Yi, I know I was wrong and shouldn't have gotten involved. I beg Master Yi to forgive me. I will be your slave in the future. Some strong men also saw Li Yi's killing intention and begged for mercy loudly. Li Yi said lightly, you are not wrong, but you know that you are about to die. The first target is the master who controls the colorful fantasy divine Mecha. Although the altitude of 70,000 meters is not high, it seems a bit ordinary among the strong. But Li Yi combined the information of Black Life and recognized this master. His name is the Master of Illusion Pattern, and he is the top strongman of the fifth era. It was also him who created the brilliant technology of pinching the virtual into the real in the fifth era and created the prosperity of the fifth era. Although the divine Mecha is not as high as the Xianlong master, its strength is not inferior. The reputation is also illustrious. The reason why this guy is chosen first is because the Master of Illusion Pattern once squeezed the development of mankind. In the fifth era, humans had almost no living space. Fortunately, Dao Wei had already possessed the power comparable to that of an ordinary master, and with the help of Li Yi in the future, he had mastered the secrets of many powerful people. This is how he protected the newborn human beings. Master of Illusion Pattern, in the last era, you made things difficult for our human race. It caused our human ancestors to have many misfortunes and a hard life. Today, I will repay you, but considering that you had not yet completely killed the human race, I will give you a chance to strike. After the strike, if you can survive, I will allow you to leave this world. A grand voice fell. This magnificent voice, like a punishment from heaven, resounded throughout the entire small universe. Then, the powerful saw a scene that shocked them. A stream of light, like a waterfall, fell from the top of the sky. First, there was a stream of light composed of countless stars. Then, There was a whistling sound that shook the universe. Finally, there were countless time and space blades that were so grand that they could not be surpassed, following these distorted time and space, and they arrived in the blink of an eye. The roar of the illusion mark overlord inspired countless colorful divine whales, and it turned into a giant butterfly that covered the sky and the sun. It was about to fly away in a flash. But this movement returned to its original position. It seemed to fly towards these time and space blades. In an instant, these time and space blades did not hinder anything and cut the illusion mark overlord cleanly. Cut into countless vertical strips. When the Sky Dragon Overlord saw this scene, an extremely absurd thought emerged in his mind. Hey, it was cut into noodles. When he realized what he had seen, the fear licked like a flame, and even this strong man who had experienced countless tyrannical wars and ruled a divine dynasty for countless years could not help but be terrified. This guy, Illusion Mark, didn't even have the slightest room to resist. A top-ranking overlord who dominated the Fifth Era and led an era of power, fell just like that. Chapter 518, Creation. The Sky Dragon Overlord was shocked, but he also knew that it was time to fight. Kill, he shouted and directly launched his top move, Sky Dragon Mediation Creation Transformation. Boom. Outside the Sky Dragon Mecha, one divine flame after another turned into star-like streams, swirling and spinning violently, absorbing countless mysterious forces of the universe. This was a terrifying move that he formed by combining the innate power of dragons and the concept of mediation creation that he had cultivated throughout his life. This was also his ultimate move to establish his reputation as the strongest in the Third Era. Once this move was used, it was earth-shattering and could change everything. It could involve living beings in the creation of all things and then transform the target into other substances. In this way, no matter how strong the opponent is, once the flesh and soul loses the support of the original form, no matter how powerful this is, it will naturally not be able to exert its power. Boom. These star-like streams shot towards the sky. The entire small universe was trembling slightly. The scene of the universe shaking gave the other shocked masters a glimmer of hope, and they also launched their own ultimate moves. The first was the Master who controlled the Fire Phoenix mech. This mech was also the tallest in the whole venue, a terrifying master-level mech of 130,000 meters. It was a few thousand meters higher than the Xianlong mech. The Master of the Fire Phoenix mech was a lone ranger from the end of the Second Era. He was not well known in his life and few people knew him. Only some masters of the same era knew that this person was amazing and should not be underestimated. The Fire Phoenix mech was also built by this person alone, and it was even stronger. In terms of strength, it was not weak either, and was several points stronger than the Xianlong Master. At this moment, the Fire Phoenix mech also seized the opportunity and launched a big move, Burning Hell-Ripping Desolate Break. A sharp ripping sound came from the upper and lower jaws of the Fire Phoenix mech, instantly breaking the vacuum, leading to a violent space-time shockwave, carrying one amazing heat after another and sweeping upward. Wherever it passed, the space melted and exploded. Although it did not completely destroy this small universe, it undoubtedly made the vibration of this universe more obvious. In the blink of an eye, the two amazing and ultimate moves of Xianlong and Huifang rushed to the dome of the universe. Boom. This small universe seemed to be torn apart, and a huge hole appeared. The larger universe environment outside also became clearer and clearer. Not only that, the other powerful ancient creatures, powerful masters, and top supremas also launched attacks in different directions towards Li Yi at the same time. However, after such a full-scale attack, the universe that was originally torn in half suddenly returned to its original state. It seemed that the attacks of the crowd did not increase the damage to the small universe, but instead repaired the previous damage. The mood of the crowd was like a roller coaster, from extreme excitement to the bottom of the valley. How could this be? A strong man murmured. His small universe is just beginning to take shape, and several top masters are attacking it with all their strength. The damage has already appeared. How can it be restored to its original state? Did he not use all his strength, or is there something else going on in his small universe? In the continuous bombardment, gradually, some strong men saw some differences. The attacks of the three strong men, Fire Phoenix, Sky Dragon, and True Scale, will damage the universe, and the attacks of the other masters and supreme masters will in turn repair these damages. He is borrowing power. No, more than that. Even the attacks of Fire Phoenix, Sky Dragon, and True Scale seem to damage this small universe. But in fact, It is also helping this small universe to continuously expand its boundaries. For a while, the strong men who realized the problem one after another. They had to stop their actions. Only the two masters, Fire Phoenix and Sky Dragon, and the powerful ancient creature True Scale, were left to attack. But soon after, the small universe no longer even showed any damage, as if it was not even acting. They fought for a while, using big moves frequently, and the sound and light special effects were full. But as time went by, it became increasingly difficult to interfere with the normal operation of the small universe. Gradually, the three of them stopped, each with a look of dejection. On the dome of the universe, Li Yi's figure was still majestic, and the various domains were reflected. He laughed and said, "Gentlemen, I haven't felt anything yet, and my body hasn't warmed up yet. Why did you stop? Keep going. My small universe is like a newborn, and has not yet experienced forging and suffering. It needs you to exert your strength and fill it with various conceptual forces. Come on, whoever performs well, I can let him leave alone. How about it? Next, if anyone doesn't take action, I will execute him first. Do you have any objections?" These words made the strong men furious, and they wanted to clench their fists and fight in person. But when they thought of the difference in strength between the two sides at this moment, and the situation of being severely restricted in strength in this small universe, they all became red-faced and speechless. The Xianlong Lord was even more stunned. After all, he had been suppressing for half an era, but today he encountered such an aggressive and strange thing. The key is that he couldn't understand how Li Yi completed this operation. He just vaguely understood that this should be the tyrannical power generated after the space-time cognition reached a certain limit. As long as their attacks and tricks could not transcend the power of space-time, they could not attack Li Yi. Then, they were used by Li Yi to fill this small universe. This guy wants to use me to create a world. Although he was unhappy, he wanted to explode himself to save his face. But when the time came, he still followed Li Yi's requirements, quickly made moves, and kept bombarding. Under such a huge gap, he no longer had the idea of fighting. He only thought that Li Yi would keep his promise and give him a proper treatment for his good performance. After all, he saw the end of Huanwen. He was not sure that he could complete a block. The end of disobedience was probably a pile of giant noodles. The difference might be that the opponent was colorful noodles, while he was cyan noodles. Oh, it seems that there is no essential difference. Not only the Xianlong Lord, but also the other strong men worked hard to make moves. For a time, the coverage of the entire small universe became larger and larger. Gradually, the strong men outside the solar system who were not covered by the small universe noticed the corresponding changes in time and space, and were extremely surprised. What was going on? In the fierce battle, this small universe was not damaged, so how could it continue to spread? Among the strong men present, only the realm god could see the mystery and was shocked. This young genius of the new era has such a brilliant method. He has actually reached the point where he can establish the laws of small space and time by himself. Although it is not perfect yet, it is small but complete, and his trick is almost perfect. But where did he learn such a rich knowledge of time and space? In surprise, this small universe gradually underwent changes that the strong men could not imagine. Chapter 519 Sweeping. The small universe in front of him suddenly contracted and expanded to the periphery of the solar system. The strong space-time load also caused the space-time of the solar system itself to be greatly distorted, forming a huge space-time turbulence. The outer powers knew that it was not good, and they all retreated. If they were swept into this small universe, like the group of people of Xianlong Lord, they would become prisoners of Li Yi, and the situation would not be good. This Lord Yi is really arrogant. He can deal with so many lords and supremas alone, and he even wants to involve us. Doesn't he know that our strength is not comparable to those useless lords? Yes, that kind of idiot is clearly cheating, and he still wants to get the first share. The Lord Yi is the one who easily killed Jiwei. How could Yi be so stupid? However, he is indeed arrogant this time. The lone lords in the periphery exchanged a few words casually. Although they were shocked by Li Yi's methods, they still disdained Li Yi's expansion and tried to involve them, who were stronger than them, and even laughed at him. They were not laughing at Li Yi's strength, but at his arrogance. Although some of these people were not as strong as Xianlong Huifeng, they were more numerous and stronger than the inferior masters of the Third Era, who could not play any role in the microcosm. But then, they could not laugh anymore. They thought they could still sit on the Diaoyote in the periphery. The moment the microcosm expanded to the boundary of the solar system, it suddenly increased, and a strong and unmatched attraction suddenly came, suddenly involving the periphery masters. These strong men were well-known masters from the Second Era, the Fourth and Fifth Eras, each with more than 10 among them. There were 3 powerful masters whose reputations were comparable to Xianlong and Jiuyu. They were the 5-leaf masters in the early Second Era, driving a 90,000-meter master mecha. The variety master of the Fourth Era, driving an 80,000-meter master mecha. The void master of the Fifth Era, driving a 120,000-meter master mecha. And 7 well-known ancient creatures. There are 7 of them: True Crab, True Lizard, True Shell, True Armor, Tai Jin Wu, Tai Kun, and Tai Zu Yan. Jin and Tai are both prefixes for the names of ancient creatures. Jin refers to the original ancestor of this type of creature form, and each of them is the blood ancestor of countless divine creatures in later generations. Tai refers to the terrifying existence of this type of creature that has reached the pinnacle of tyranny and can be comparable to the inferior magic gods with only the flesh. For example, the realm god, whose previous name was Taiji, was born to be the pinnacle of this special type of creature form, and possessed a variety of extremely terrifying natural powers. Those whose names have the prefix Tai are a big level higher than the ancient creatures with the word Jin, and there are only a few exceptions. For example, the 2 ancient creatures with far-reaching lives, True Dragon and True Phoenix, although they have many defects and can never reach the pinnacle of this type of creature form. But their natural power is also not weak. In the blink of an eye, more than a dozen of the last strong men on the periphery were swept into the small universe. In a moment, the entire solar system was left with only the realm god, who resisted the wave and stayed at the periphery, unmoved. However, even so, the realm god was still surprised, because he could feel that the power of the small universe sweeping towards him was more like a show. It seemed that Li Yi had noticed his tyranny, so he took the initiative to avoid him. Interesting, I thought you relied on your strength, so you acted arrogantly, but now it seems that you have quite some insight and vision. The realm god opened the candle realm reflection eye and observed carefully. He wanted to see if Li Yi's purpose of bringing so many strong people in at once was really to create a world. If so, it would be amazing. The so-called creation of a world is a concept that has been cultivated to an extremely deep realm. It is a core ability that transcends ordinary masters and truly belongs to the strongest masters of the First Era. It is precisely because the 8 masters joined forces to cut off most of the origin of the universe and created a world, resulting in a defect in the origin of the universe, that the disaster will become more and more severe, and gradually have a tendency to completely destroy the entire universe. Only the experienced ancient creatures and masters know the general situation. The other ordinary masters and newly promoted masters only know that the source of the disaster is the core masters of the First Era. But they don't know how they did it, and they don't know how they did it. In essence, they joined forces to cut the universe and created a unique world. And this world is not ordinary, but it cuts the almost ordinary origin of the universe and the top core of various concept sequences. This also led to the fact that the various concepts of cultivation of the later ones after them lacked the top concept and could not be perfected at all. Therefore, these later masters said that they had the power of masters. But in fact, they were only richer and more complete than the concepts comprehended by the Supreme. In essence, it was because of the lack of top-level concepts that they lacked the aura that a tyrannical person should have. Only a few people with extraordinary talents, extraordinary luck, and enough hard work can cross this limitation and barely reach the realm of Jiuyu and Xianlong. And this is also the limit. Due to the limitations of their natural bodies, they can only use raw things, that is, divine mechas, to reach a level of combat power that can compete with ancient creatures. Without divine mechas, even 10 master-level strongmen like Xianlong would not be enough to defeat a slightly stronger ancient creature. The life status of the two is so different that the increase brought by the concept seems insignificant. It's like ants understand technology and can shoot pistols, making them invincible among ants. But against humans, this bullet is just a tickle. Only when ants can control large mechas and use the increase brought by sufficient scale can they produce strong enough power. Li Yi's holy armor is essentially the same. Without this external force increase, his current physical combat power can be comparable to that of ordinary masters, but it is naturally impossible for him to beat ancient creatures with his physical body. And now, if Li Yi really wants to cut the origin of the universe and create his own world, the situation can be big or small. If it is true, It means that Li Yu will completely stand at the level of the power of the master of the first era, comparable to the god of law. Then, the later generations after him will also be cut again because the origin of the universe is cut again, and various concepts are cut by Li Yi, which will cause the upper limit of the later generations' power to be further reduced. If this is true, then the realm god will have to stop it. After all, he has not yet transcended, and he cannot allow the fact that the origin of the universe is greatly reduced. This will undoubtedly reduce the probability of his transcendence. The so-called transcendence is essentially a matter of the more predecessors go, the more blocked the road will be for the later generations. But, does Li Yu really want to be so ruthless? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 520 Operation. Li Yi's creation of the world is naturally different from the method envisioned by the world god. Although he doesn't know how the master of the first era caused the disaster. But as his understanding of the origin of the universe in time and space becomes higher and higher, he naturally has his own guesses. In this regard, he is not going to cut the concepts that exist in the universe itself when creating the world this time. First, the upper limit of the universe itself has been weakened. Even if it can cut the current top-level concept of the universe, it is definitely not as good as the masters of the first era. Secondly, his understanding of various concepts other than time and space has not reached that level. Most of the small universes he has created now are derived from the laws of time and space. This is the core law. The status itself is the first in the universe, and the root law can only be barely ranked with it. Combined with the root law that he had comprehended from his future self before, this feat can be accomplished. Of course, he has comprehended some of the mysteries of the law and can borrow its power, which is also different from the realm of the god of law. The key point of the realm of the god of law is that it must have a companion ancient law, an ancient law that has been concretized. This kind of concretization is the companion treasure. For example, the secret book of the years of the god of years, or the Gaia Mother Rule treasure in Li Yi's hand. First, there are concrete ancient laws, and then the power in them is fully mastered before the realm of the god of algorithm can be achieved. And Li Yi's approach is to use his profound cognition of time and space, and borrow his own divine will to pry the ubiquitous laws of time and space. The concrete ancient laws and the ubiquitous various conceptual laws are two different things. Concrete means that the corresponding ancient laws have been mostly restrained, and this concrete item can be used at any time to achieve the far-reaching control of the laws. Of course, there are some that cannot be concreted. These are the foundations that support the existence of the universe itself, and they cannot be restrained under normal circumstances. These laws are everywhere, and can be used by powerful people who have a deep understanding of them at any time. And this also leads to that once the corresponding concept sequence is completed by the corresponding ancient creatures to complete the law convergence, prove the way to the god of algorithm, or is occupied by the tyrannical master, the strength that the later ones can master and exert will be greatly reduced. This is not just the influence of the masters of the first era. All those who got there first have enjoyed the benefits of being here early. The law of space and time that Li Yi is currently focusing on is too abstruse, profound, and difficult to comprehend. From ancient times to now, not many masters have mastered it. The only ones who have reached the realm of the god of law in this field are the god of years, the god of realm, the god of yin, and a few others. Among these people, only the god of years has mastered one of the three major characteristics of space and time. The rest of them have mastered the laws corresponding to the derivative characteristics, and their strength is second. Moreover, the god of years characteristics of the god of years have also been slightly reduced due to the loss of the secret book of years. It is unprecedented to have a complete grasp of the three major characteristics of space and time. The masters of the first era could not cut the law of space and time because it is one of the core laws of the universe. The law of origin was cut in part, but not too much. Therefore, the law of space and time and the law of origin are equally famous in the universe. But in fact, the law of space and time is still the first, followed by the law of origin. After all, the law of space and time is the most complete law that has been cut and occupied the least by the strong. Others were holding rusty guns, while his was a well-maintained and most expensive gun. The difference was of course even greater. This point gradually became clear to Li Yi as he comprehended the two major laws. And as Li Yi comprehended the three major time and space characteristics to a deep level, the increase in combat power was naturally very fierce. Rubbing out the air-suppressing membrane would allow him to counterattack the semigod level before he was promoted to the heavenly level. Practicing the air-suppressing membrane into a 1,000-layer deep air-suppressing blade would allow him to cut off the end of the roots of the life tree that threatened his fate. Later, even the abilities of life reduction, countercurrent, and microcosm were mastered, and the combat power naturally became higher and higher. So how did he plan to achieve the creation of the world, this time without cutting the origin of the universe and the top-level concepts? On the one hand, he planned to suppress the various concepts occupied and cut by these strong men directly in various parts of the microcosm, forming a living dead similar to the foundation. They themselves robbed a small part of the top-level concepts of the universe itself, and Li Yi deserved to rob them. Although these strong men are far inferior to the masters of the first era, they are still alive because they are numerous, rich in variety, and alive. This can actually allow this small universe to form a sufficiently perfect rule ecology. Moreover, the physical power of these strong men is also strong enough to become the foundation of his small universe. Given time, the rule ecology of this small universe will continue to evolve, and it may be possible to form a law system comparable to the main universe. On the other hand, Li Yi himself is also trying to build the origin of the universe by himself. This is the core. Only by having the origin of the universe can this universe be completely closed. The origin of the universe is essentially to open up an energy conversion pool between this universe and the higher dimensional universe. Then, it can continuously steal high-dimensional energy from the higher dimensional universe and convert it into the origin of the universe. Li Yi had entered the vision of dimensional upgrading several times before, and thus mastered the node coordinates of several higher dimensional universes. Using these node coordinates of the higher dimensional universe, with a 100,000-layer deep Zhenkou blade, continued to dig and chop repeatedly, it is still possible to dig out some source leaks. Of course, he did not master these coordinates at the beginning. Instead, the reverse push was achieved after the recent rapid advancement of space-time cognition. As for how to guide the origin of the universe to form a closed loop in the future, it is not difficult. The operation of this step is very similar to building the internal circulation system of the divine Mecha. He had already understood the various aspects of the construction process of the divine Mecha and knew the principles very well. Now it is feasible to expand it to his own small universe. In this way, he only needs to spend 10 days and a half months, and then squeeze those masters and ancient creatures hard, and this small universe can initially form a stable boundary membrane, which can survive for a long time without his continuous processing and maintenance. Only after completing this step can it be considered a successful creation of the world. At this moment, he suppressed the strong men who had just come in, used their power to continue to spread the universe, and continued to chop and polish at the high-dimensional universe coordinate points he had mastered before. Time passed gradually. The only survivor in the outer solar system, the world god, observed the changes in various aspects of the small universe with the eyes of the candle world. Then, the more he looked, the more shocked he was. His majestic body couldn't help but tremble. It's such a magnificent and majestic work. Chapter 521 High-Dimensional Whole. Li Yi used his physical body to superimpose the power of the holy armor, and continuously chopped the high-dimensional universe coordinate nodes with a suppressing sky blade. On the other hand, he was also distracted to call on the power of this small universe and began to suppress those weaker lords. As the small universe expanded, it gradually reached a limit, and the attacks of those weaker lords could not even help a little. In this case, why keep them? Really let them go home for the new year? You're dreaming. He will not show mercy to the guys who want to attack him. The previous induction was just induction. If they didn't have that thought, Li Yi might really let them go. It's a pity that since they have the idea of attacking, they must be prepared to be killed and suppressed. Dozens of streams of light suddenly fell from the dome of the small universe. Each stream of light has its own direction and target. Every strong man separated by the distorted time and space was firmly locked by the suddenly strengthened time and space around him. Then, they watched the stream of light in the sky grow bigger and bigger within their field of vision. Then, it came over like a mountain pressing down on their heads. Boom! The dominant class and supreme class mechas, which were tens of thousands of meters high, were suppressed by these flows and pressed down to the depths of the microcosm. go deeper and deeper. They were like being squeezed into a toothpaste can. Their bodies and the bodies of the divine mechas showed uncontrollable distortion and compression, and they continued to go deeper into the depths of time and space and the microcosm. In the end, they were completely unable to move. Countless roots of the concrete laws probed over, supported them, entangled them, drilled into them, and absorbed them. They seemed to have become the nutrient culture dishes of various parts of this microcosm. This magnificent vitality and this high-depth concept of occupation were continuously absorbed and transformed by this microcosm. Their bodies could not move, and they also foresaw their own end. They knew that it was useless to beg for mercy at this time, so they could only curse in their hearts and send messages out with their souls, at least to satisfy their desire to talk. This may be the last entity they have as strong men. Damn it, a dignified master who dominates the new era is so dishonest. I fuck your mother. If I survive, I will knock your bones and eat your marrow. Gentlemen, why don't you explode? There are also those who have not given up yet, thinking that as long as they lick well, they may have a chance to survive. They beg for mercy, plead, pretend to be pitiful, say they are wronged, and say that they did not intend to target them. One by one, the movie emperors are possessed, and tears are streaming. Master Yi, I am really innocent. I have no intention of being your enemy. It's just that they are making too much noise. I am curious and come to watch the fun. Master Yi, I have a rare treasure accumulated for several eras, a prehistoric unique piece, and an ancient inheritance. Can you exchange my life for mine? There are also those who are still arrogant when begging for mercy. And their results did not change. Li Yi observed the trend of fate and saw through their thoughts and actions. Naturally, he would not believe these dying words casually. When a person is about to die, his words are good. This is good only when he dies without hatred. How can we talk about kindness when we die of hatred? He stepped up the suppression of the strong by the small universe. Gradually, these strong men could not even support the activity of their brains, and could only passively start the dormant mode. Some of them were still struggling, and directly activated various sequence concept bodies. The concept bodies of some strong men were useless and were still firmly suppressed by the concrete laws of the small universe. Some strong men's concept bodies were very advanced, or they were good at dealing with this kind of trapped situation. Soon, they struggled out of most of the space-time layer, and were about to return to the surface world outside the deep space-time layer. But just when these few strong men were about to rush out, the space-time shook violently, shaking them back to the deep space-time layer. Then, they entangled these strong men with more fierce and thick tentacles of the concrete laws. After a game of struggle, these powerful masters had no tricks, and they were completely controlled and lost their power. After all, this is a universe transformed by Li Yi, and the basic laws have long been completely different from those of the main universe. Although the masters are strong, they are not used to the local climate and cannot call on stronger laws and concepts, so they are easily swept into it by Li Yi. Throughout the whole process, Li Yi can be said to have done it almost effortlessly. This is also a method that only he can use. Others did not make arrangements in advance, and they could not control such a large space-time layer like him and evolve it into a small universe. In this small universe, Li Yi is almost invincible. If he leaves this universe, he will not be able to achieve such a trick and deal with so many strong people at the same time. However, these weak ones are child's play. The newly arrived 5 leaves, 100 changes, void, and the 7 ancient creatures are the focus of the strategy. These strong ones have to be suppressed by me personally. Li Yi chopped the coordinates while feeling the movements of all aspects below, thinking in his heart. The 3 of Xianlong, Huafang and Zhenlin have already consumed a lot of his divine reserves by various means, and now they are no longer a concern. If he could defeat the next 10 strong men, the foundation of his small universe would be basically stable. The prototypes of laws in all aspects were basically collected, covering all the basic concepts that a universe should have. Puff, puff, puff. At this time, he broke a tiny gap in the high-dimensional coordinate node, which was as small as an ant. Rich high-dimensional energy flowed out. Li Yi was like soaking in a hot spring. His body in the holy armor was constantly strengthened, and his vitality suddenly leaped. He let out a long breath of comfort. It was indeed high-dimensional energy. The increase in the body brought by this was countless times stronger than the holy armor. No, it was stronger than his last 12-element nuclear fusion. This was just a tiny high-dimensional hole. No wonder everyone wants to transcend. Just a little bit of energy from this high-dimensional universe can benefit me so much. If I go to the high-dimensional universe, even if I don't practice the immortality, won't my body be indestructible forever? Li Yu thought to himself. Boom. 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 At this time, he felt that the pressure on his small universe was suddenly much greater. Violent space-time roars continued to sound. It seems that the opening of the high-dimensional hole has both advantages and disadvantages. Putting aside the advantages, the disadvantages are also obvious, that is, before the self-circulation closure is completed, with the opening of the high-dimensional hole, the ability of this small universe to bear internal and external loads will drop by a level. It's like an egg with a small hole, which is easily squeezed and burst by internal and external pressure. He has to wait for him to build another layer of self-circulation and isolate the high-dimensional hole into a source pool before he can restore or even increase the internal pressure-bearing capacity of the universe again. Well, since you forced me to do it, I won't wait any longer. I'll deal with you first and then drill more holes. Li Yu put down the suppressing sky blade and prepared to fight in the flesh to fight with those ancient creatures. Chapter 522, Suppressing the Two Poles. The 10 powerful men who had just swept and occupied different positions. Li Yu observed for a moment and immediately found Tai Kun, who posed the greatest threat to his small universe. Tai Kun was also the largest, with a total length of 410,000 meters, which was not much different from the size of a medium-sized planet. A random swing could produce extremely terrifying space-time ruptures. The power of a swing directly swept thousands of light seconds, and wherever it passed, the distorted space-time was forcibly flattened. This was like a flattened sponge. Although it could rebound, it could not immediately return to its original state for a while. Therefore, Tai Kun's movement speed was also the fastest. After a few jumps, it had already jumped to the position of the universe dome and connected with Li Yi, who had just left the universe dome. Tai Kun's body was like a killer whale, without obvious limbs, and there were huge fins on both sides. As soon as he saw Li Yi, he roared, and his giant fins flapped the time and space, bringing out a super time and space shock wave. Little boy, how dare you play with me? I am the fastest in the universe, born with a law of swallowing the sky. I can surpass everything and swallow everything. How dare you play with me? How dare you play with me? This earth-shaking time and space shock wave roared away, destroying infinite time and space in the blink of an eye. Even the most solid dome of the universe was shaking violently, and the huge tremors spread to the entire microcosm. The power of a single blow can be seen like this. Tai Kun is indeed a powerful existence among the ancient creatures that can rival some of the inferior magic gods with its natural power. Li Yu, who was in the holy armor, felt the horror of this wave in microseconds, and a trace of surprise and admiration flashed in his eyes. It is true that there are always people outside the sky. Whenever Li Yu felt that the ancient creatures were just like this, a creature with extremely terrifying natural power would appear in front of him. These beings that have lived from prehistoric times to the present are indeed amazing. If Li Yu were to be outside the microcosm, he would have to retreat if he encountered such a terrifying attack. But now, he is still not afraid. At his hand, the sky-suppressing blade reappeared, and a bright and dazzling light flashed. A super-long giant blade that shook the world slashed down towards Tai Kun. Crash! The magnificent and unprovoked space-time shock wave rolled towards the sky-suppressing blade like a raging wave, and then it trembled violently, like smooth water split into two parts and spread to both sides. One blade, split. Then, Li Yu clenched his other hand towards the sky, as if he was pinching the infinite void, and squeezed it hard. Explode! With a light sound, the towering and terrifying ancient creature in front of him suddenly moved up and down without wind, as if it was pinched by some invisible force, like a balloon that was squeezed to death, and it seemed that it could no longer withstand the huge force of the pinch and was about to explode. Boom! This towering, indestructible super-flesh body was like a madman, roaring to the sky, venting the terrifying power that was clenched by the explosion. The Taijinwu on the periphery also burned open the extremely distorted time and space with its own means, explored a high-altitude bird path, and flapped its wings to come. But as soon as Taijinwu arrived, he was shocked by Taken's terrifying roar. The red gold feathers all over his body continued to burst into blazing flames, and only then could he barely dissolve the terrifying power in the roar. Taijinwu's eyes showed shock. He did not expect that Taken, who had been as famous as himself for a long time, would be so embarrassed. Both of them were ranked as the fastest of the ancient creatures, and they were also the few with the strongest natural power under the God of Law. At this moment, feeling the battle between Taken and Yizhuze, he realized that he was still a big step behind. But if he was a step behind, couldn't he take action? This was the key to life and death. How could he not fight hard? Although the matter originated from greed at this moment, he could only make the best of it. "I'll help you." The great golden crow shook its 390,000-meter-long golden wings. The tips of its huge feathers, which looked like golden swords, ignited extremely bright red gold flames. With a flap, they burst out. Swoosh! Countless golden red flames turned into meteorite-like flames, and shot towards Li Yi at the dome of the universe. Wherever the red gold flames passed, countless distorted time and space were burned into crystal-clear space-time crystals, hanging all over the void. These space-time crystals are only produced when the temperature is extremely high or extremely low. It is another form of the universe being visualized, and the effect is amazing. And this is just a byproduct of the Great Golden Crow's ultimate move. At the dome, Li Yi's heart moved. These ancient creatures of the Great Generation are indeed quite powerful. If they can carefully study their bodies, collect materials, and strengthen their bodies, their immortal characteristics will definitely increase dramatically. Of course, after this thought flashed through his mind, his actions were not slow. The other hand also reached out and grasped it in the air. Boom! Tai Jinwu's magnificent body seemed to be directly pinched by some invisible force. He was about to continue flapping his wings to launch the Golden Crow Divine Fire. But this time, he was pinched by the void and found that the almost infinite power of the Golden Crow Divine Fire in his body was suddenly suppressed to the point where there was no room for him to exert his strength. Even his extremely powerful body, which could break stars, was suddenly trapped and locked up. He turned his head to look at Tai Kun, whose roar was gradually becoming sparse a few light seconds away, and his heart was shocked. "My child, what kind of method and what kind of law is this?" Li Yi did not answer, but clenched his hands in the air and suddenly clasped his palms together heavily in the middle. Bang! With Li Yi's action, the two giant bodies separated by a few light seconds suddenly collided directly at a terrifying speed that exceeded the speed of light, making a space-time level noise like a planetary collision. Not only that, the two majestic bodies continued to squeeze inwards under Li Yi's action, becoming extremely flat like pancakes. The two Tai Generation ancient creatures screamed in pain. This was not their own flattening, but their bodies were directly pressed by the infinite power of the universe, like ordinary creatures under a hydraulic press. Even their tyrannical souls could not withstand such pain that surpassed the flesh. And Li Yi, in this pressure, quickly determined which part of the two bodies was the real essence. After rubbing them for a while, Li Yi was satisfied and prepared for the next step. Two bird-like ancient creatures who are proficient in speed, come together to suppress the east and west poles of the universe. Tai Jinwu, you will become the sun of the east that radiates the universe, shining on the universe, bringing good fortune and life. Tai Kun, you will become a black hole that devours all waste energy and waste matter in the west poles of the universe, providing more backup power for the endless self-circulation of the universe. Then, he threw his hands, as casually as throwing a ball, and these two towering flesh bodies suddenly crossed the limit nodes on both sides of the small universe, deeply embedded in it, and completely unable to escape. As these two strong men were suppressed, the stability of the entire universe was also suddenly raised. Chapter 523, Realm of Success. As Tai Jinwu and Tai Kun were suppressed into the East Pole and West Pole, the hearts of the powerful people who witnessed this scene below, which had just been ignited, suddenly cooled down. Originally, they saw that the two powerful reinforcements, Tai Jinwu and Tai Kun, were swept away, and then showed their power, breaking the dilemma of distorted time and space, launching a big move to fight Li Yi, and the small universe was simply turned upside down, and they thought that the opportunity had come. But unexpectedly, the situation took a sharp turn for the worse in the blink of an eye. Now, let alone suppressing it, even their own power could not make the small universe regenerate waves. Without the support of the familiar law concept, they can only rely on their strong flesh and divine mecha to launch. But their innate power is also based on the laws of the universe. Even if the power can be returned to the flesh, the power still plummets. Not long after, all the strong men were shot by Li Yi one by one and suppressed one by one. After all, their power at this moment cannot help the universe spread, so it is best to use up the surplus value. And no matter what big moves they have, Under the extremely limited venue, they can only end their life journey in impotent rage, and completely become the cornerstone of the living dead in the small universe. The 7 ancient creatures have very active bodies and strong internal energy circulation. On the contrary, those divine mechas, because they are isolated from a universe, have a weak connection with the origin of the main universe, and their power is much inferior. Fortunately, this part is large in number and has enough effect. Except for Tai Jinwu and Tai Kun, who were suppressed at the east and west poles. The remaining 5, Tai's Huayan, with the power of the main violent law, were suppressed by him in the empty position originally located on Saturn, forming a large cosmic turbulence group. This turbulence group seems to add turbulence to the universe, but it can absorb the external chaos and introduce the chaotic factors into it, which is equivalent to clearing the chaos caused by the initial spread of the universe, making the interior of the small universe more stable. Secondly, there is the Sky Dragon Overlord. He mainly cultivates the concept of mediation of creation and has some of the natural power of the true dragon. His physical activity is second only to the ancient creatures of the true generation. He was suppressed by Li Yi to the original position of the sun to release the power of creation. This also happens to echo the East Pole Golden Crow, bringing a lot of mysterious creation to the universe. The Fire Phoenix Overlord mainly cultivates the concept of the divine fire nirvana, which belongs to the law derived from the cross of the law of life and the law of fire. His power is not weak. He was suppressed by Li Yi to the original position of the earth to form the core of the cradle of the new life planet. The 5 ancient creatures of the true generation, true scale, true crab, true lizard, true shell, and true armor, have various accompanying laws, but none of them are strong. Instead, their physical power is good. They were suppressed by Li Yi to various parts of the universe diaphragm to strengthen the universe diaphragm. The 5-leaf Overlord mainly cultivates the concept of plant life. So Li Yi suppressed him to the position of Jupiter and directly evolved him into Void Plant Island. The Lord of Changes mainly cultivates the concept of ever-changing, and was suppressed by Li Yi in the outer position of the original solar system to help the universe spread and evolve. The Lord of the Void mainly cultivates the concept of the Void, and was directly suppressed by Li Yi in the Void layer of the universe to strengthen the stability of the Void. The other weaker lords and supremes have been suppressed before and completed a small self-circulation. In this way, the entire small universe, whether it is the root law or the other small laws, will gradually merge with this small universe. I believe that a complete system of cosmic laws will soon be formed. Although the sparrow is small, it has all the internal organs. In this way, only the final shaping of the origin of the universe is left to complete the final internal energy cycle. Li Yi began his great cause of splitting and chiseling high-dimensional holes. Although it is important to collect the physical genetic information of these creatures, it is more important to open up the pool of the origin of the universe at this moment. After all, he now seems to be invincible all the way. But this is based on maintaining the small universe. The consumption in the previous battle is not as good as the consumption of maintaining the small universe for a minute. If he hadn't accumulated enough original energy in the original nucleus for this day, plus the massive growth brought by the opening of the high-dimensional hole, he really couldn't have maintained it for so long. Fortunately, the original hole has been opened, and although the universe cannot completely form a self-circulation, but it is almost enough to maintain the original hole he opened. In the future, as the system of cosmic laws becomes more and more perfect, the original energy accumulates, and this universe will surely spread more and more, and will continue to grow at a speed that exceeds the spread of the main universe, and when it completely breaks away from the main universe, even if Li Yi is not a true god, he will be better than a true god. When his universe surpasses the main universe, it is estimated that his realm will surpass all the holy gods and true gods in one fell swoop, reaching a truly unprecedented level. Although this step still requires a lot of time and energy, the path has been basically determined. I just don't know if I can refine this universe into my body before I transcend into the high-dimensional universe. Li Yi opened another high-dimensional hole in his imagination. Bang! A huge amount of origin energy swept over, and Li Yi was like a divine spring, with an immense force surging from top to bottom of his body. Dig one more, forming a tripod, and this origin energy pool will be basically done. Li Yi didn't want to dig a bigger hole in the origin, and directly expand the outlet on the spot. But with his current cosmic strength, he could only take it slow. First, after the origin hole was dug, it still took a lot of energy to maintain it. The high-dimensional universe naturally has memory, and once a breach occurs, it will recover automatically soon. Only when the whole is established for a long enough time will it not recover naturally. So he needs to continue for a while to maintain the existence of the origined whole. Once the entrance and exit become larger, this consumption may not keep up in a short time. Secondly, it is not advisable to overdo it at this moment. If there is too much, the energy inside the universe will be unbalanced, and the fragile self-circulation that has just been established in the early stage will be broken. At that time, even if the universe does not collapse, it will take a lot of time and energy to reorganize the internal chaos. This thing is like a big house. It is easy to build, but the cost of maintenance is not low. The larger the scale, the more a reasonable and stable self-circulation is needed. Without self-circulation, it is easy to form an internal collapse phenomenon. Like the disaster in the main universe, Li also understood it at this moment. This is because the top-level concepts have been cut in large quantities, and the internal circulation of the universe is unstable. Therefore, the internal and external energies converge, and after a long time, a terrifying energy will inevitably form, destroying everything. In prehistoric times, there were probably no such disasters. After completing the creation of the world, Li also gained a new understanding of many time and space details and knowledge that he did not understand before under this new creation framework. The level of time and space cognition has also surpassed the conventional law gods in one fell swoop, and has risen to the level of nearly true gods in one breath. Although he has not yet achieved the Tao, his cognition has been achieved. After all, the grand means of creating the world is already the means of true gods. Even some true gods who specialize in other concepts may not be able to achieve such operations. Those like the masters of the first era also relied on a joint effort to accomplish such a feat. Moreover, their creation of the world has one more step, cutting the top-level concepts of the universe to fill in their own universe. Instead of creating something from nothing like Li did, by suppressing the strong. From a practical level, the concept of cutting the top of the universe is more feasible. But in terms of benefits, Li's approach is naturally the best. Because they use it as it is, which is equivalent to copying and cutting. And the process of Li suppressing the strong still needs fine-tuning, matching, and reconstructing before it can be reintegrated with his own universe, which is equivalent to imitating and surpassing. The two are naturally incomparable. Boom. As Li continued to chop, the third high-dimensional hole burst out. The new universe is created. Chapter 524 Invitation. As the small universe completely formed a self-circulation, the origin of the main universe issued a huge roar, resounding throughout the universe, and the world god was completely speechless. The rest of the emotions, on the contrary, completely dissipated after the extreme shock. Only infinite emotion remained. Fear. He admitted that he did underestimate the so-called Yi master of this new era at the beginning. After all, in the sixth era, is there any idle concept law that has not been occupied by other strong people? The result was beyond his expectations. This new era Yi master, the main cultivation is actually the law of time and space, not the three major characteristics, nor any derivative law under the three major characteristics. It is a complete law of time and space that no strong person has ever mastered and cannot do. For so many eras, no strong person has been able to do it. Is it because they are unwilling? Are they unwilling to spend time to accumulate one by one? The most fundamental reason is that on the one hand, because the law of time and space is all-encompassing, the status is respected, and the amount of learning is huge. Even if so much time is spent, it is not necessarily possible to get any benefits, which greatly discourages the strong. On the other hand, it is also because after mastering the laws of time and space to a certain extent, the burden on the soul and body is extremely great. This is not a joke. When knowledge reaches the level of conceptualization and the concept is concretized, it is no longer an intangible thing. It has real weight and will produce a load. Why do people feel the burden when they start the demigod stage? It is because they have touched a certain limit. Just like people will be injured when they fall from a height of several meters, but ants will not. Because the larger the life status, the stronger it is, but its existence itself will also need to bear a strong load. This is also the root cause of the difficulty of advancing the higher you go. Because the knowledge mastered by the strong will also overwhelm him to a certain extent. And there is no doubt that the law of time and space is also the law with the greatest load. This load is so high that only ancient creatures who are not born with strong power dare not try it easily. Only the masters of the first era, who took advantage of the time window of the lowest concept load when the first disaster destroyed prehistory, obtained a large number of vacant concepts, and possessed the bloodline of the ancient creatures, could rise to prominence and replace the dominance of the ancient creatures in the universe. Even a strong man like the God of Years once took the initiative to retreat to the secret realm of time in order to avoid joining forces with the masters of the First Era. This special era opportunity not only created them, but also formed the 6 brilliant eras of divine civilization, spanning 10 billion years. Is it because he has mastered the immortal characteristics? Only when there are enough immortal characteristics can he master them to such a deep degree without restrictions. Is the immortal characteristic the core root that can truly transcend the era and surpass the era? The god of the realm used the candle realm to penetrate the layers of time and space, and saw the new universe that was temporarily attached to the main universe, but had a very high degree of independence, and was completely different from the ordinary time and space. He fell into deep thought. Suddenly, he saw that inside this new universe, the Creator suddenly cast his eyes at him. This sight was so strong that it collided with the realm god's candle realm reflection eye, causing him to feel a strange pain in his eyes. This was a feeling that he had never experienced in countless billions of years. The realm god was shaken. Suddenly, he heard a voice booming in his ears, majestic and magnificent, as if a giant god was coming. You must be the god of law who controls the derivative characteristics of time and space. I am now called Lord Yi in the universe, but I don't know what your name is. It is fate that we meet today. I dare to invite you to enter my universe for a chat. After the conversation, the realm god's mind, which had been calm for many years, was shaken again and again today. He was also impressed by Li Yi's genius. Although he did intend to seize Gaia's mother's treasure earlier, he did not have such a deep thought as other strong men. His original intention was to see what the potential of the new generation was. If the potential is high, he will naturally not act easily and offend the great enemy that may appear in the future. After all, he had seen that Li Yi had the characteristics of immortality at that time. While he was amazed by it, he was also certain that those masters would not be able to get away with it, so he was not in a hurry to take action. Now that the situation has reversed, it can be seen that his choice at that time was right. Although, if he had taken the initiative to take action at the beginning, whether Li Yi could successfully complete the creation of the world is still unknown. But at this moment, even if the realm god thought about his own strength, he knew that he was probably not an opponent in the small universe. He hesitated a little, whether to take the initiative to step into the dangerous situation. As if seeing the hesitation of the realm god, Li Yi's voice came again. Your Excellency does not need to worry too much. Now that my universe is just formed, there are many things to be rebuilt, so naturally I will not start a chaotic war lightly. As long as you don't take the initiative to take action, I will not take action either. This move is also to thank you for having such power and being able to maintain your composure in front of such a precious treasure of mine, and not interfering with the affairs of those supreme masters. If you had taken action at that time, I would not be so successful now. The realm god heard this and felt a little scared. Not so smooth? It seems that this Lord Yi is very confident. Does that mean that even if he would take action before, he would not worry about not being able to complete his task? It just adds a little trouble? No, maybe he was just bluffing. He should have been afraid of taking action before. The realm god thought in his heart and said, since you have invited me, I will enter your universe as a guest and see what feat you have accomplished. Although his candle realm reflection eye is strong, after all, crossing a strange universe is not as difficult as crossing billions of light years before. Therefore, even he, watching Li Yi's actions inside, although he can see some mystery, but more of it is still a bit foggy. After all, the creation of such a profound way of playing. Although the realm god has thought about it and has a plan, it is not the hand of Li Yi, so he is naturally very curious. Li Yi smiled, then you can come in directly. I have opened the door for you. He invited the realm god in, of course, not just out of gratitude. After all, if he had behaved inappropriately before, the one who would have taken the most direct action would probably be the realm god. Of course, Li Yi would not take the initiative to attack the realm god at this moment. His purpose was naturally to intimidate the realm god, and to learn some prehistoric situations from the realm god, and to secretly collect some genetic information from his physical body. In the main universe, the realm god's physical body is flawless, and it is difficult for him to collect it. But in his own universe, of course, it is much simpler. The realm god moved his body and leaped towards Li Yi, and soon crossed the universe diaphragm that Li Yi had actively released, and entered it. causing a wave of considerable shock. He felt the distinction between the laws of the inner and outer universes, and his majestic face also clearly showed a more shocked look. As I guessed before, he suppressed all the strong men into the depths of the universe and trained them into the foundation of the living dead. When he thought of this, he felt a little doubtful and a rare fear in his heart. Did he just trick me in? He also wants to suppress me and become the pillar of his universe. Chapter 525 Narrating History. The Realm God was a powerful god of law after all. The fear in his heart flashed for only a moment before he suppressed it. Not really. Although, looking at the layout of the universe, if he suppressed himself, Li Yu would most likely gain a lot. But if he made a big fuss, he should also be as he said before, and the cost of cleaning up would not be low. As long as he was polite, it shouldn't be a big problem. Moreover, he should try to make Li Yu less likely to think of suppressing him. It would be best if he didn't even mention the word suppress. A series of thoughts flashed through his mind, and the Realm God was about to say something else to change the subject. As a result, the first thing he said was, Master Yi suppressed so many powerful people as the foundation of the universe. This step is really a genius creation. As soon as he said this, the Realm God was speechless. He hadn't spoken for many years. Did he even know normal social language? He mentioned the word suppress again. Isn't it obvious to remind Li Yu that hey, there's a big guy here, and there will be great benefits if he suppresses it? Fortunately, the other party didn't seem to care about this, which made the Realm God feel a little relieved. While he was relieved, he was also somewhat angry at himself for being so self-willed. Damn it! I am a great world god, born with the most powerful power in the universe. Why am I so timid today? Li Yu smiled and said, this technique is very crude. The world god is really too flattering. The world god said, of course I am not flattering. Your technique is like a true god. For example, the mysterious power of creation is everywhere in this universe, and ordinary techniques cannot produce it. Li Yu nodded and said, this is the mysterious power of creation evolved from the conceptual power of the two powerful masters, the Lord of Fire Phoenix and Tai Jinwu. It is said that it is not related to me. The corners of the world god's mouth twitched slightly on his majestic face. I see. I said that the mysterious power of creation is so strong, and it seems that the degree to which Lord Yi squeezed the other masters has reached a very outrageous level. He originally thought that even if these strong men were suppressed and became the cornerstones of the universe, it would take many years for them to fully integrate their concepts and laws and integrate into the inner cycle of this small universe. Unexpectedly, this wave of suppression also called out all the power of each strong man for a long time. Doesn't this mean that once suppressed, in addition to becoming a pillar, they must also become a supply pool of law concepts? This living dead man is really worse than death. With this thought, the world god had a deeper understanding of Li Yu's ruthless and direct tactics. In his heart, he could only hope that the next conversation would talk less about suppression, pillars, and the circulation of laws. If they talked about it, this Lord Yi suddenly said, if His Excellency the world god can suppress the universe for me, then this universe must be as stable as Mount Tai. What should I do? After all, the laws controlled by the world god are of great help to the stability of the universe. Even the world god can predict that if he is also suppressed, the universe will inevitably usher in a terrifying expansion again. After all, although there were many strong men who were suppressed, there were very few who specialized in time and space. At most, they were somewhat related. Haha, let's stop talking about your creation of the universe. How about I tell you some interesting stories from prehistory? The world god thought of another way to change the subject. Li Yu's eyes lit up and he smiled. That's great. He was interested in prehistoric things. He had learned some content from the ancient king before, but it was obviously not comprehensive. He was also somewhat curious about the things of the holy gods. The realm god thought for a moment and said, this prehistoric period is actually the term used by the creatures of your divine age. After all, you divine creatures don't know much about our age, because we were not good at building all kinds of giant wonders at that time, and we didn't leave many relics. We ourselves are the wonders of the universe. So, we still often use the ancient times to refer to this period. Before the divine age, there were different ages in the ancient times. The 6 ancient saints each dominated an era and changed their own eras. First was the Yang God era. He rose in the chaotic ancient times. At that time, the universe was just born, and there was nothing, only stars, which were slowly born in various parts of the universe. The chaotic ancient times was the history of these beings born as star-level life forms. colliding with each other and killing each other. At that time, the ancient creatures began to have wisdom, and they could mobilize the origin of the universe by instinct, which had a great impact on the form of the universe and the creation of all things. At that time, it could not be called a civilization. It was just a group of ancient beings who relied half on instincts and half on half-wits to compete with each other for the supreme law of the universe. In terms of civilization, it is naturally not as sophisticated and extensive as your divine civilization, rough, chaotic. In the struggle among the strong, the solar system, which can only be regarded as a tiny sun among the ancient strongmen in terms of star scale, suddenly emerged as a dark horse, took control of its own companion law, the pure Yang law, and swallowed up the companion laws of countless stellar creatures in one breath, completing the pure Yang law. Thus, he achieved enlightenment as the Yang God and became the first holy god in prehistoric times to transcend the barriers of the universe and enter the high-dimensional universe. When the Yang God achieved enlightenment, he cleared up the ancient wars and took away the Yang laws of countless stellar creatures. When he transcended, he also left behind a stellar shell, which is your current sun, so all the stars in later generations can no longer give birth to ancient creatures. You in the divine age will never see any stellar creatures again. This is the chaos of the earliest billions of years in the chaotic ancient period. Then came the chaos star archaic period. This was an era of peaceful development, with countless planetary lives being born. At that time, every planet was born with the ability to breed archaic creatures. Among them, Gaia was the most gifted and became one of the few lucky ones born in the Yang God's Dao Enlightenment land. As soon as she was born, she attracted cosmic anomalies, causing countless lives to suddenly appear in various parts of the universe. However, the scale of these lives was smaller and more subtle, inconspicuous, and did not attract the attention of the strong. At that time, the number of planetary lives gradually increased, and in order to compete for their respective planetary companion laws, the universe also fell into great wars, and God only took 1,000,000 years to successfully prove the Holy Spirit, and took away the companion laws of most planets, eliminating the disputes among planetary creatures in one fell swoop. Therefore, after that, all planets could no longer breed archaic creatures, and they all became dead stars, and the universe fell into desolation. Against this background, countless tiny creatures that appeared at the same time as Gaia's birth began to step onto the stage of the archaic period. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.